Good morning. It's book club again. Wow, 2 days in a row. I didn't know he could do that. I'll give you guys a minute to get in here. I know it's early. I'll be around. I don't have any chores to do this morning. So, you know. I'll give y'all a minute. I ran out of my mints. Good morning. Took my last one. Welcome. Willkommen. Hello. Yippee. We're gonna read in a minute, I promise. Do you like my little buddy on my head? We're reading again. Uh, because it relaxes me, and you guys like it. Hope you guys are doing all right. This week's been interesting. I've had a fascinating few days, but we are all in this together. So, we're gonna read. I'm gonna let chat fill in a little bit first. It's still pretty early. Try to run these streams early so I have plenty of time to read before I start and get ready for my other job. I, eh. You guys holding up okay? Here's the deal. I'm gonna hang out here. I'm gonna tap away at my fan fiction. And oh fuck. It is Project Hail Mary fan fiction, in case you care. Because of course it is. Why wouldn't it be? Despite everything going on, it's grateful. Like I was in some level of actual physical danger a couple of weeks ago. Between when it was really hot and when everything was literally burning, I'm just having a wild summer. I'm checking my Myoshi. I have to move all my friends. I think when you get to the point in your life where I'm at, you learn. Oh my goodness. Wait, alright. 1 second. I am. I have to recycle the thing that I'm fidgeting with. I'm gonna be real with you guys. I'm tired. Oh, All right, book time. Oh my Jesus. You okay? I heard that hit the microphone. Okay. Hmm. Okay. If I'm going to die, it's going to have meaning. I'm going to figure out what can be done to stop astrophage, and then I'll send my answers off to Earth, and then I'll die. There are lots of avenues for painless suicide here, from overdosing on meds to reducing the oxygen until I fall asleep and die. Fearful thought. I eat a delicious tube of Day 4 Meal 2. I think it's beef flavored. The food's getting chunkier now. There are actually some solids in there. I think I'm chewing on a cube of carrot. It's nice to feel some texture in the food for a change. More water, I say. The nanny bot, as I've come to call it, quickly takes my plastic cup away and replaces it with a full one. It's funny, 3 days ago those ceiling mounted arms were a mechanical monster that haunted me. Now they're just there. Part of life. Eh, jeez. I found the dormitory to be a good place for thinking. Now that the dead bodies are gone, anyway. The lab doesn't have anywhere comfortable to relax. The control room has a nice chair, but it's cramped and has blinking lights everywhere. But the dormitory has my nice, comfortable bed. I can lie back. Bed I can lie back on while I think about what to do next. Oh my lord, I'm tired. I'm still waking up, you guys. I didn't even finish my coffee. Plus, the bedroom is where all the food comes from. I remembered a lot over the past couple days. Looks like Project Hail Mary was a success because here I am, in another star system. Tau Ceti, I assume. It makes sense that I'd mistake it for the sun. Tau Ceti is very similar to the sun as stars go. Same spectral type, color, and so on. And I know why I'm here. Not just in vague terms like, oh, hey, the world's ending, make that not happen, but very specifically, find out why Tau Ceti wasn't affected by astrophage. Easy to say, hard to do. Hopefully, I remember more details later. A million questions run through my mind. Some of the most important are 1. How do I scour an entire solar system for information about astrophage? 2. What am I supposed to do? Throw some of my astrophage fuel at Tau Ceti to see what happens? 3. How do I steer the ship anyway? 4. If I find useful information, how do I tell Earth about it? I think that's what the Beatles are for, but I think that's what the Beatles are for, but how do I upload data to them? How do I aim them? How do I launch them? 5. Why would I, of all people, be part of this mission? Yes, I worked on a bunch of stuff about astrophage, but so what? I'm a lab coat, not an astronaut. It's not like they sent Werner von Braun into space. Surely there were more qualified people. I decided to start small. First, I have to work out what this ship can do and how to control it. If I put the crew in comas, they must have known it might mess with our minds. There has to be an instruction manual somewhere. Flight manual, I say aloud. Ship information can be found in the control room, says the nanny bot. Where? Ship information can be found in the control room. No, where in the control room can ship information be found? Ship information can be found in the. You kind of suck. I make my way up to the control room and take a good long look at every screen. I spend an hour in there cataloging what each area seems to say and make guesses as to what the functions are. What I'm really looking for is something like information or here to save humanity, press this button to learn more. No such luck. Griffin. After hours of poking screens, I've found nothing. I guess they figured if the crew are so brain mushy that they don't remember how to use the ship, they're probably not useful as scientists anyway. I did find out that any screen can show any instrument panel. They're pretty much interchangeable. Just tap the upper left corner and a menu shows up. Pick whatever panel you like. We've entered the press buttons and see what happens phase. That's nice. You can customize what you're looking at. And the screen directly in front of the pilot seat is the largest. I decide on the more tactile approach. I'm gonna start pushing buttons. God damn it. I literally just said that. Oh, he's so funny. Hopefully there's no blow up the ship button. Honey, I don't think Strat would put a self-destruct button on humanity's only source of hope. I think Strat would have kept that from happening. See? Strat. I wonder how she's doing right now. Probably in a control room somewhere with the Pope making her a cup of coffee. She is a really domineering person, but gosh darn it, I'm glad she was in charge of making this ship happen. Now that I'm aboard it and all, her attention to detail and insistence on perfection are nice to have all around me. I bring up the scientific instrumentation panel on the main screen. It's the same panel I spent a lot of quality time with earlier. The one that currently shows an image of Tau Ceti. It has the word helioscope in the upper left corner. I hadn't noticed that before. The left side of the screen is a bunch of icons. Other equipment, I presume. I press one at random. Tau Ceti disappears. Top left corner changes to read External Collection Unit. The screen shows a diagram of a featureless rectangle. There are some controls here and there to change the angle and to open bow side and open stern side. Okay, noted. Not sure what to do with this information. Press another icon at random. This time it changes to Petrovoscope. Beyond that, there's just a black screen with an error message. Petrovoscope cannot be used while spin drive is active. I say. Okay, what's a Petrovoscope? Best guess, a telescope and or camera that specifically looks for the IR light that astrophage emit. It looks for the Petrova line via the Petrova wavelength, so it's a Petrovoscope. And we really need to stop putting Petrova in front of everything. Why can't I use it when the spin drive is active? I don't know how a spin drive works or why it's called a spin drive, but I do know I have one in the back of the ship and it's consuming astrophage as fuel. So it's my engine. It probably activates enriched astrophage and use them as thrust. Would that mean there's a ridiculous amount of IR light coming out the back of the ship right now? Like, enough to vaporize a battleship or something? To do the math to know for sure, but I can't help it. I want to do the math right now. The engines consume 6 grams of astrophage per second. Astrophage stores energy as mass, so basically the spin drive converts 6 grams of mass into pure energy every second and spits it out the back. Well, it's the astrophage doing the work, but whatever. I bring up the utility panel on a smaller screen to my right. It has a bunch of familiar applications all ready to go. One of them is a calculator. I use it to calculate the mass conversion energy of 6 grams. Good lord, it's 450 trillion joules, and the ship is emitting that much energy every second. So it's 450 trillion watts. I can't even fathom that amount of energy. It's considerably more than the surface of the sun. Sorry, I'm being texted by Bliss. I think we should get back in the habit of calling our female friends a wife. I have so many wives, just all of the wives. Every female friend I have is wife by association, except for Sarah, who is daughter. Daughter by lore. Technically niece by lore, 'cause she's Vance's kid. Ugh, so distracted. I took my meds, I swear. Um, you'd get hit by less energy if you were on the surface of the sun than if you were standing behind the Hail Mary at full thrust. I'm decelerating right now. Have to be. Plan is to come to rest in the Tau Ceti system, so I'm probably pointed away from the star and slowing down. Having spent a really long time at near light speed during the trip. Okay, so all the light energy will hit dust particles, ions, and anything else between me and Tau Ceti as I plug along. Those poor little particles will be brutally vaporized, and that'll scatter some IR light back at the ship. Not much compared to the engine output, but it'd be blinding to the Petrovoscope, which is finely tuned to look for trace amounts of that exact frequency. So, no using the Petrovoscope with the engine on. But man, I would love to know if Tau Ceti has a Petrovaline. Theoretically, any star infected with astrophage should have one, right? The little blighters need carbon dioxide to breed. Can't get that from a star unless you go way into the core, and I don't know if even astrophage could survive those temperatures. If I see a Petrovaline, that means Tau Ceti has an active astrophage population that, for some reason, hasn't grown out of control like it has everywhere else. And that line will lead to a planet that has carbon dioxide. Maybe there's some other chemical in that atmosphere that impedes the astrophage? Maybe the planet has a weird magnetic field that messes with their ability to navigate. Maybe the planet has a bunch of moons that the astrophage physically collides with? Maybe Tau Ceti just doesn't have any planets with CO2 in their atmospheres. That would suck. It would mean this whole trip was for nothing and Earth is doomed. I could speculate all day. Without data, it's just pure guesswork, and without the Petrovoscope, I don't have data, at least not the data I want. I turn my attention to the nav screen. Should I mess with it? I mean, I don't know how to fly this ship. The ship does, but I don't. If I push the wrong button, I'll be dead in space. Actually, it'd be worse than that. I'd be hurtling towards Tau Ceti at, I checked the info on screen, 7,595 kilometers per second. Wow, a couple days ago that was over 11,000. That's what constantly accelerating at 1.5 Gs will do for you. Or decelerating, I guess. From a physics standpoint, it's all the same. Point is, I'm slowing down with respect to the star. There's a button on screen that just says, course. That seems reasonable to tap, right? Famous last words, really, I should just wait until the computer feels like the trip is done, but I can't help myself. I tap the button. The screen changes to show the Tau Ceti solar system. Tau Ceti itself sits at the corner, denoted with the Greek letter tau. Oh, okay, that's what the lowercase t is on the Hail Mary's crest. It's a tau for Tau Ceti, okay. Anyway, four planetary orbits are shown as thin white ellipses around the star. The locations of the planets themselves are shown as circles with error bars. We don't have super accurate information on exoplanets. If I could figure out how to get the science instruments working, I could probably get a much better info on those planet locations. I'm 12 light years closer to them than the astronomers on Earth. A yellow line runs almost directly into the system from off screen. It bends toward the star somewhere between the third and fourth planets into a cycle. There's a yellow triangle on the line, way far away from the four planets. Pretty sure that's me, and the yellow line is my course. Above the map is the text. Time to engine cutoff. Fi 5 days is 20 hours, 39 minutes, and 6 seconds. The final digit increments. The final digit decrements once per second. Okay, I learned a couple things here. First off, I have 5 days left, closer to 6, before the engine cuts off. Second, the readout has 4 digits for days. That means that this journey took at least 1,000 days over 3 years. Well, it takes like light 12 years to make this trip, so it should take me a long time too. Weird relativity! I have no idea how much time it took, or rather, I have no idea how much time I experienced. When you get going near the speed of light, you experience time and dilation. More time will have gone by on Earth than I've experienced since I left Earth. Relativity is weird. Time is of the essence here, and unfortunately, while I slept, Earth experienced at least 13 years. Even if I find a solution to the astrophage problem right now, it would take at least 13 years for that information to get back to Earth. So that means there'll be an absolute minimum of 26 years of astrophage misery on Earth. I can only hope they're coming up with ways to deal with it, or at least ameliorate the damage. I mean, they wouldn't have sent the Hail Mary out if they didn't think they could survive at least 26 years, right? In any event, the trip took at least 3 years from my point of view. Is that why we were put in comas? Was there a problem with us being awake for the duration? I only noticed the tears when the first of them drops off my face. That decision to put us in comas killed two close friends of mine. They're gone. I don't remember a single moment with either of them, but the feeling of loss is overwhelming. I'll be joining them soon. There's no way home. I'll die out here too. But unlike them, I'll die alone. I wipe my eyes and try to think of other things. My whole species is at stake here. Judging by the path on the map, the ship will automatically put me in a stable orbit around Tau Ceti between the third and fourth planets. If I had to guess, I'd say it's probably 1 AU, the distance that Earth is from the Sun. Nice, safe distance from the star. A slow orbit that takes about a year to complete. Probably longer because Tau Ceti is smaller than the Sun, so it probably has less mass. Less mass means less gravity and a slower orbital period at a given distance. Oh my god, come on, words, work with me here. Okay, I have 5 days until engine cutoff. Rather than mess around with stuff, I'll just wait it out. Once the engines are off, I'll fire up the petroscope and see what's out there. Until then, I'll try to learn as much about the ship as I can. I'll do just about anything right now to keep it from thinking about Yalan Ilyukna. There's a break in the text. So, I'm gonna go to the bathroom and get something to drink because I'm out of coffee. Um, so I'm gonna put our lesbian fairy bookmark into our book, and I will see you guys in just a minute. I'm back. Emmy! Hi, I see you, I see you, I see you. I'm back. Ah, I've been reading Project Hail Mary, mostly just to my moderator, for the past couple of days. Yesterday, my my dear sweet friend Lily was here. Um, we are doing book club. Hi. This book is the only thing that brings me joy, and with the current collapse my Twitter is experiencing, I need joy. So I'm gonna read Project Hail Mary to a bunch of people who've never read it before. Yay. This is me physically reading an actual book. I don't have this pulled up on a Kindle. This is my personal copy. Alright, technically the carrier was named the People's Liberation Army Navy Gunsu, which is why their navy has army in its why their navy has army in its name, I'll never know. Regardless, people stopped calling it that and started calling it Strats Vat. Despite objections from the sailors aboard, the name stuck. We wandered around the South China Sea, never getting too close to land. I'd spent a blissful week doing nothing but science. No meetings, no distractions, no experiment, just experimentation and engineering. I'd forgotten how much fun it was to get immersed in a task. My first breeder prototype had demonstrated another successful run. It wasn't much to look at, mostly a 30-foot long metal pipe with a bunch of ugly control equipment welded on there here and there, but it did the trick. It could only generate a few micrograms of astrophage per hour, but the concept was solid. I had a staff of 12 people, engineers from all over the world. A couple of Mongolian brothers were my best engineers. When I got a call from Strat to meet her in the conference room, I left them in charge. I found her alone in the meeting room. The table was strewn with papers and charts like always. Graphs and diagrams adorned all the walls, some new, some old. Strat sat on one edge of the table with a bottle of Dutch gin in a lowball glass. I'd never seen her drink before. You wanted to see me? I said. She looked up. Her eyes had bags. She hadn't slept. Yeah, have a seat. I sat in the chair next to her. You look terrible. What's going on? I have to make a decision, and it's not easy. How can I help? She offered me the gin. I shook my head. Aw, Ryland canonically doesn't drink. Aw. I love this man. He's so David coded. This is the most David coded any of my FOs has ever been. They're both complete and total rays of sunshine who love kids and are very smart in ways no one else around them is. There's a crack ship for you. Enough of this Bloody Mary shit. Give me Rivid. Hold on. I'm gonna text Bliss about this. This is the best idea I've ever had. Guys, I'm a genius. I think I cooked. I don't know how I'll make it work. One of them lives in San Francisco and the other lives somewhere in Virginia, but I'll figure it out. I'll figure it out. Okay. Shut up. Ugh. The Hail, the Hail Mary is going to have a very small crew compartment, about 125 cubic meters. I cocked my head. Actually kind of big as far as spaceships go, right? She wiggled her hand back and forth. Big for a capsule like Soyuz or Orion, but tiny for a space station. It's about 1/10 as big as the International Space Station's crew compartment. If you remember, please tell me. I love shipping Ryland Grace with random motherfuckers. Pass that bitch around. Okay, I said. What's the problem? The problem, she picked up a manila folder and dropped it in front of me, is that the crew will kill each other. Huh? I opened the folder. Inside were lots of typewritten pages. Actually, they were scans of typed pages. Some were in English, some in Russian. What is all this? During the space race, Soviets briefly set their sights on Mars. They figured if they put people on Mars, the US moon landing would be trivial in comparison. I closed the folder. The Cyrillic writing was nonsense to me, but my guess was Strat could read it. She always seemed to know whatever language was being used. Oh yeah, Quill, I've seen that. Mari, hi! Hot potato, yes. Ryland is the blunt in the rotation. uh, she rested her chin on her hands. Getting to Mars with 1970s technology would mean using a Hoffman transfer trajectory, which means the crew would have spent just over 8 months aboard the ship. So the Soviets tested out what happens when you put people together in a cramped, isolated environment for several months. And? After 71 days, the men inside were getting in fistfights. Every day. They stopped the experiment on day 94 because one of the subjects tried to stab the other to death with broken glass. How big will the crew be for the mission? The current plan is 3. Okay. So you're worried of what happens when we send 3 astronauts on a 4-year trip in a 125 cubic meter compartment. It's not just about them getting along. Each crew member would spend the whole trip knowing that they're going to die in a few years, and that the few rooms on the ship are the only world they will know for the rest of their short lives. The psychiatrists I've talked to say that crushing depression is likely and suicide is a real risk. Yeah, that's some rough psychology, I said, but what else can we do? Are you motherfuckers playing hot potato in my fucking chat? She picked up a stapled sheaf of papers and slid it toward me. I picked it up and read the title. The Study of Long-Term Primate and Human Coma Patients and Detrimental After Effects. Sirsk et al. Okay, what am I looking at here? That's a study by a failed company in Thailand. She swirled the gin in her glass. The idea was to put cancer patients into induced comas for their chemotherapy treatments. You suck. I love being a streamer. This is why I love being a streamer. Summoning a demon. Oh no. Wait, I'm a demon. I guess that means it worked? Nightcrawler. Wolverine is naked. He'll come out like, where? Where? There's a magic circle. It's just the Wolverine comic edition with Kurt's back to the camera in the middle. Oh. Uh, patient gets chemo but doesn't have to be awake to suffer through the process. Wake them up when the cancer goes into remission or when it's no longer treatable and it's time for hospice. Either way, they skip a lot of misery. That sounds like a great idea, I said. She nodded. It would be if it wasn't so lethal. Turns out the human body just isn't supposed to be in a coma for a long time. They tried various means for medically induced comas on primates, and Primates either died during the coma or came out of it with mush for brains. So, why are we talking about it? Because they did more studies, this time on historical human coma patient data. They looked at humans who had come through long comas relatively unscathed and tried to see what they had in common. They found it. Old Russian Space Agency documents were a mystery to me, but scientific papers were my forte for a long time. I flipped through the paper and skimmed the findings. Gene markers? I said. Yes, she said. They found a collection of genes that give a human coma resistance. That's what they're calling it. The sequences are what scientists used to think was junk DNA, but apparently it's something we evolved a long time ago for some unknown reason, and it still lurks in some people's genetic code. Are they sure these genes cause coma resistance? They correlate, but do they cause it? Yes, they're sure. The genes found in lower primates, too. Whatever it is, it goes way back in the evolutionary tree. I'm sorry, I just got a text from my friend that says I'm slightly more radioactive than yesterday. Maddie, what the fuck does that mean? Oh, okay. They got an x-ray. Oh my god. Um, okay, I see where you're going with this. I put the paper down. Do DNA tests on all applicants and use only the people who have those coma-resistant genes. During the trip, they put the crew in comas. They don't have to experience 4 years of getting on each other's nerves or introspection about their deaths. Yeah, I fucking guess. Maybe they had a Nuka-Cola this morning. Who knows? She raised her glass to me. It gets better. Having the crew in comas makes the food situation much easier. Powdered, nutritionally balanced slurry pumped right into their stomachs. No need for 1,000 kilograms of diverse meals. Just powder and a self-contained water recycling system. I smiled. This seems like a dream come true, like suspended animation in sci-fi movies. Why are you drinking and stressed out? Uranium fever has gone and got me down. Uranium fever is spreading all around. You guys are distracting the shit out of me today. Ugh. There are a couple of catches, she said. First off, we'd have to develop a completely automated monitoring and action system to take care of the coma patients. If it broke down, everyone would die. There's more to it than just monitoring vitals and pushing the right drugs through an IV. It would have to physically move and clean the patients, deal with bed sores, diagnose and treat secondary issues like inflammation and infection. Mari, the implication is that you're a Ride the Cyclone fan. How have we never discussed this? Sorry, I keep getting distracted. You guys are great. I love you. I love having it. I love streaming. I want to make money off this one day. This Okay, but that seems like something the global medical community could work on for us. Use your strat magic to boss them around or something. She took another sip. That's not the main problem. The main problem is this. On average, only one in every 7,000 humans has that genetic sequence. I sat back in my chair. Whoa. Yeah, we wouldn't be able to send the most qualified people. We'd be sending the 7,000th most qualified people. 3,500th most qualified people on average, I say. She rolled her eyes. Still, I said, 1/7,000th of the world's population is 1 million people. Think of it that way. You'd have a pool of 1 million people to look through for candidates. All you need are three. Six, she said. We need a primary crew and a backup crew. Can't have the mission fail because some guy gets hit by a car crossing the street the day before launch. Okay, then six. Yeah, 6 people of astronaut caliber who have the scientific skills necessary to work out what's going on with Astrophage at Tau Ceti and who are willing to go on a suicide mission. Oh, you're the CEO of a lot of things, Emmy. Shiny being one of them. I want to eat your art style. Emmy drew this picture of my Pathfinder OC. I swear to God, cutest thing I've ever seen. You're also the CEO of Fluffy. What the fuck is your art so fluffy for? A million, I said, out of a population of a million. She fell silent and took another sip of gin. I cleared my throat. So you either take your chances with picking the best possible candidates and maybe they kill each other, or you take your chances on yet to be developed medical technology to automatically care for a lower tier of talent. More or less. Either way, it's a terrible risk. It's the hardest decision I've ever had to make. Good thing you've already made up your mind then, I said. She raised an eyebrow. You, I can't do art fight anymore. I need to beg you to draw more of my characters. She raised an eyebrow. Huh? Sure, I said. You just wanted someone to tell you what you already know. If you leave the crew awake, there's nothing you can do about the psychosis risk. But we've got years to perfect the automated coma bed technology. She scowled, but didn't speak. I softened my voice. Besides, we're already asking these people to die. We shouldn't ask them to suffer emotional torment for 4 years. There's two. Science and morality both give the same answer here, and you know it. She nodded, almost imperceptibly, then she downed the rest of her gin. All right, you can go, she said. Oh, new episode of Chicken Nugget just came out. She slid her laptop over and began typing. I left without another word. She had her stuff to deal with, and I had mine. That's a break in the text. How are we feeling about the book so far? Yeah, having fun? It's a very pretty rat, Emily. Your art style is so ridiculously good. I could never be you. Maddie wants you all to know that she's having a great time with the uranium jokes. I'm telling them all about what you people are saying. They're proud to have helped my chat with their comedy. Actually, I'm gonna ask her if she ask them if they want the link. I wasn't allowed to eat the X-ray equipment. Dude, what the fuck is wrong with my friends? I try. My art's fun. Dude, I'm actually so happy. I drew some fan art for one of my VTuber friends, my friend Nightshade, and she she loved it. She's been so sweet. Ugh, I was honestly blown away by how excited she was about it. Um, what's not nice? I see. Yeah. But no, yeah, I drew a picture for my wonderful friend Nightshade Howl, and uh she loved it, and I'm sobbing because it made me so happy. I want to draw more of my VTuber friends that are still around, to show my appreciation. Truly, just to show my appreciation. Um, there they are, the radioactive one. Dear Lord. Maybe if I draw my remaining friends, it'll indent them to me forever and they'll never leave. Fun, hi! I'm reading. I'm reading to the chat. I managed to drag a bunch of my friends in to listen to make that, forcing them to listen to me read sci-fi. The Ryland merch box comes on Monday. Because uh Maddie got an X-ray and is mad that they wouldn't let them eat the tech. Uranium. Do you guys remember the uranium glass McDonald's cups? Oh yeah, that's right. In my the way I met Emily was a bit like how CL ended up with Sebastian in Black Butler. In my worst moment, I made a deal with a demon to be my friend forever, Ghost and Molly McGee style. And the demon is Emily, and now she won't leave me alone. I don't know how that happened. Have you not seen Ghost and Molly McGee? It's a really cute kids show about like this girl who like accidentally finds a ghost to be her BFF. It's really fun actually. Extra spicy McDonald's. Oh yeah, the uranium glass McDonald's cups. Were you not aware of that? I think it was either McDonald's or Burger King that back in the day they made a series of cups as like toys with meals or whatever, and they were made of uranium glass. And it's turning into a Zatsu. They were made of uranium glass, and um, uh, man, my heart is still back in Steven Universe. Oh my god, can I tell you guys some absolutely crushing news? Did you guys know that Pearl's voice actress is fucking MAGA now? I don't know how you voice Pearl and then become a Trumpy, but Jesus. Pearl is one of my few femme-aligned FOs. Uh, Children of Grave Uranium. I fucking guess. They discontinued the glasses, but there's some collectors that still have them. Yeah, no, Pearl is very dear to me. Um, fucking I can't believe it. I can't believe that Dee Dee is mega. That's insane to me. She also voices um yeah, she is. Dee Dee, I mean, I know she's not Pearl, but she's her voice actress, so it's like, oh my god, and like, yeah, it's not my wife. That's an imposter pretending to be my wife. I'm genuinely in love with Pearl. I, d- every time I think about Steven Universe, my brain comes back to Birdwife. She is delightful. It's like when I found out Greg Ellis was transphobic. I love Cullen, but I don't think I'll ever recover. My god, this is the most chatters I've had in one time in years. Pearl's gorgeous. It's the ballerina shit. It's the very clear revolutionary girl Utena Princess Tutu ballet energy that Sugar designed her with. Like, If anything, I can accredit all of my love for Pearl to Rebecca Sugar, who is an extremely talented singer and creator and artist. And I think that, like, I'm forever grateful that Sugar chose to create Pearl. I don't know, but I'm sure it would horrify her. Sugar is a non binary queer woman. She's. All of the gems are technically genderless, and their pronouns are relative. They're like the Asari from Mass Effect. So it's like, I don't know how you're gonna play a genderless lesbian. Well, I love volleyball. I actually thought the Pearl and Volleyball future episode was really, really sweet. Um, but my heart will always belong to OG Pearl. She's the love of my life. I love her so much. I don't have any merch for Pearl. Um, I'll admit, Steven Universe has a lot of flaws. Um, one of my favorite YouTubers has multiple videos dissecting the show and its many problems. But to me, Pearl is always the best part of it. I still catch myself singing a lot of her songs. I relate to her now more than ever. I don't know, it's super weird to find out that it's like, did you guys know Zachary Levi is anti-vax? How the fuck are you gonna play? How the fuck are you? Sorry, I know I said I'd read, but like we're yapping now. How the fuck are you gonna play a doctor and be anti-vax? A gay doctor, okay? I love Arcade Gannon with my entire fucking soul. How are you gonna play a gay doctor and be anti-vax? I need like oh my god, it's so crazy to me when voice actors play characters that are so different from them. And I mean, oh my god, the Fallout New Vegas remaster is gonna have to try super hard to find a voice act, a new, like if they re-record lines, they're gonna have to try super hard to find a new voice actor for Arcade. Excuse me, Tuskaru, Tuskaru. Yeah, like Maddie, I don't know if you've ever played Fallout, but my my Kohai Bliss got me into it in April, and I fell completely in love with New Vegas, especially Arcade. And I went to look up who voices. There's a shit ton of celebrities in this game, first of all, just an insane amount. Like, almost every other companion is voiced by a famous person. Like, fucking Boone is James Marsden. Raul is goddamn Danny fucking Trejo. I don't know how that fucking happened. Uh, Yes Man's voice actor, I keep forgetting his name, but he's like a big deal. Uh, Somehow they got Felicia Day to voice Veronica. I don't know how they pulled that off. Um, and like, but the landslide started because I found out Zachary Levi plays Arcade, and I was heartbroken to discover that Zachary Levi is a weirdo now. And it's like, bro, God, I love Fallout New Vegas. Yes Man is forever going to be my favorite character. He's so interesting. And like the other thing that's going to be a problem for the remaster is all the dead voice actors. Yeah, it's some Spy Kid shit. It's some Shark Boy and Lava Girl shit. Um, like there's a bunch of dead voice actors too. Why do your arms hurt? Emmy, what the fuck are you doing? Like A lot of the voice actors in that worked on New Vegas are dead. Like Rene Auberjonois, who played House, he's dead. He's been dead for a while. Now there is a new guy playing House in the Fallout show, so I have to assume that if they re-record everything for the remaster, they'll probably get that new voice actor to do it. Um, but the other problem is actually Benny. Matthew Perry passed away recently. I don't know. I don't know how they're gonna. I don't know how they're gonna find another person worthy of voicing Benny. Benny is so iconic to me. I'm sorry, this is supposed to be a book club stream. Worst streamer ever. Yeah, he's dead now. I'm like I was crushed. Ooh, speaking of voice actors who are unfortunately dead, your fun fact of the day is that Meowth from Pokemon was voiced by a trans woman for years. Who would I cast as Arcade? Probably Matt Mercer. He's worked with Fallout before. He's McCready in Fallout 4. Um uh for Arcade I'd have to say Matt Mercer. Like again, he's McCready, he does great there. And I think he's really good at replicating other people's voices. He took up Minsk in Baldur's Gate 3. So I absolutely believe that he could probably replicate Zach's performance as Arcade. Um yeah, yeah, it's Matt Mercer playing McCready. I've played both Fallout 3 and 4, so I've met baby McCready and I've met Fallout 4 grown-up McCready. By the way, Big Town is or fucking Little Lamplight is fucking awesome. It's one of the best parts of Fallout 3 by far. If you get the Child at Heart perk, you can basically make your way through Little Lamplight super easily by just being as cute as they are. Uh, essentially, you have the ability to speak, to speak child. And so when you enter Little Lamplight, you get through the whole game by just how do you do fellow kidsing it. It's so funny. Genuinely, how do you do fellow kidsing the entire chapter? It's so good. I love little Mayor McCready. He's so cute. Dude, Little Lamplight's great. I know. I love Billy. He gave me his Weasel Wifle, you guys. Oh my god. Little Lamplight is great. As someone who absolutely adores children, a town full of kids is such a stupid idea. Like, it's so. You'd think some Lord of the Flies shit would happen there. But it's just, somehow, no. No, when they age out of the town, they just go to Big Town, which is like on the surface and a few towns away. Oh my god, it's so fun. I love Billy. I also love the fucking nerd kid who can get you into the facility that you need to get through the vault where you meet Strong and you have to get the Gek. Oh my god, they're so funny. They're so fucking funny, dude. I love Little Lamplight. They're fine. They're doing great. Yeah, you age out of the town, they send you to the surface and they send you to Big Town and you live there. And you can actually go to Big Town. You can see it. Um, you oh sweet. Actually, you can go to Big Town and you can see it and you can meet the no longer kids. They got kicked out of Little Lamplight. That's super cool, Mari. Yeah, I work grocery and it's summertime, so I've been seeing a lot more children at my job recently. It's actually been pretty cool. People bring their kids in all the time, and like I'm weirdly good with them. I always kind of have been. Um, Probably because I have a younger sister who's like 6 years younger than me. So growing up, I spent a lot of time with her and was mildly parentified by my mom. So I kind of have like I don't know. It's like a skill to pick up. You learn to speak, child. Truly, you do. Child at heart perk IRL. So when when I'm at work, I'm able to I don't know, man. I've just got the touch, which is hilarious because wow, look at Maddie with her fucking with their fucking adult job. God, there's a lot of my coworkers are teenagers because it's grocery, so it's like an easy job. So like there's a couple of kids my sister's age that I work with. Actually, my sister's an adult now. Can't fucking believe that. I guess I do. I don't know, man. Uh, but I've always but like I don't want any of my own, you know? I'm perfectly fine to like hang out with other people's kids. I just I think I'd be a terrible I think I'd be a terrible dad. Uh I just don't think I have the patience. I just don't I think I'd be a terrible dad. But I also think I'd be a terrible teacher. I don't think I have the patience for that either, you know? Like I don't know how Bliss does it. I I crave their level of patience. All right. Sorry. I'm way off topic. I'm so sorry. We got to get back to the book. I don't know how we got here. We got to get back to the book. Oh my God. Okay. Um, the memories are coming back more smoothly now. I still can't remember everything, but it's no longer an epiphany when they happen. It's just sort of, oh, hey, I know that. Always knew it, really. I guess I'm one of those people who with coma resistance. That explains why I'm here instead of any far more qualified candidates that should have been sent. Oh my god, Tuscadu. Tuscadu, I'm burping so much today. What the fuck? But Yao and Ilyukna probably had those genes too, and they didn't make it. My guess is the mechanical robot wasn't perfect. They must have had some medical situation arise it couldn't figure out. I shake off their memory. The next several days are an exercise in patience. I learn more about the ship to distract myself. I catalog the entire lab. One of the first things I find is a touchscreen computer in a pull-out drawer in the center table. Actually a fantastic find because it has a bunch of research related screens as opposed to the panels in the control room, which are all about the ship or its instruments. I see a bunch of math and science apps, most of which are off the shelf that I'm familiar with, but the real boon is the library. As far as I can tell, this panel can bring up literally any scientific textbook ever written, every scientific paper ever published on my topic, and a whole lot more. There's one directory just called Library of Congress, and it appears to have the entire digital catalog of everything that's ever been copyrighted in the United States. No books about the Hail Mary, unfortunately. And the reference manuals. So many reference manuals, data on top of data with data in between. I guess they figured solid state hard drives are light, so there was no reason to be stingy with information. Heck, they may have just burned the data onto ROMs. They gave me reference material on stuff that can't possibly be useful, but hey, it's nice to know that if I need the average rectal temperature of a healthy goat, I can find that out. It's 103.4 Fahrenheit, 39.7 degrees Celsius. Ryland. Oh my god. Playing with the panel leads to my next discovery. I know how I'll report back to Earth with the beetles. I knew they'd be involved, but now I know specifics. In addition to the absurd data storage array on the ship, the panel also has four comparatively small external drives mounted. John, Paul, George, and Ringo. Each one of those shows 5 terabytes free. It's not a huge leap to assume that's the Beatles' data. So how do I launch them when the time comes? To find out, I head to the control room. I have to dig through a few layers of UI on the Beatles panel to find the launch command, but I find it. As far as I can tell, it's just a button labeled launch. Guess they'll orient themselves based on the stars and head towards Earth on their own. The Hail Mary did the same thing to get here, so they know how to do it. No reason to introduce human error in the course selection. While I'm here, I poke around the scientific instrumentation screen. The first few sub windows are the helioscope, the petroscope, and a telescope that can see in the visible spectrum. IR spectrum, and a bunch of other bands. I play with the visible light telescope. It's kind of fun. I can look at the stars. I mean, there's nothing else out there. Even Tau Ceti's planets would just be little dots from where I am, but it's still nice to see the outside from my confined little world. I also found a dedicated EVA screen. It has more or less what I would have expected. There's a bunch of controls for the EVA suit itself, so an operator in the control room can manage any issue with the suit during EVA. That way, the person in the suit doesn't have to deal with it. Plus, it looks like the ship has a complicated tethering system on the hull. Basically, a bunch of tracks that the tether hook can run along. They really figured an EVA would be important. Probably to collect local astrophage if there is any. If Tau Ceti has a Petrova line, then there's astrophage to be collected. Getting a hold of some would be step one. Getting that down to the lab and seeing if it differs from the astrophage on Earth. Maybe it's a less virulent strain? The next 2 days are basically me worrying about what happens next. Oh, I know what happens next. I'm just worrying about it anyway. I fidget in the control room and watch the seconds tick away. You're going to be in zero G, I say. You're not going to be falling. You will not be in danger. The acceleration of the ship will stop, but that's okay. Oh, bye, Mads. Have a good day. I don't like roller coasters or water slides. That dropping sensation scares the pants off me, and in a few seconds I'm going to feel that exact sensation because the gravity I've been experiencing will stop altogether. Seconds tick off. 4, 3, 2. Here we go, I said. 1, 0. Right on schedule, the engine shut off. The 1.5 Gs I've been feeling all this time vanishes. Gravity is gone. Panic. No amount of mental preparation would have worked. I straight up panic. I scream and flail around. I force myself to curl into the fetal position. It's comforting and keeps me from hitting any controls or screens. I shiver and shake as I float around the control room. I should have strapped myself to the chair, but I didn't think to. Dummy. I'm not falling! I scream. I'm not falling! This is just space. Everything is fine. It's not fine. I feel my stomach in my throat. I'm gonna puke. Puke in zero G is not okay. I don't have a bag. I'm severely underprepared for this. I was stupid to think I could just talk myself out of a primal fear. I pull the collar of my jumpsuit open and tilt my head down. I'm just in the nick of time. I puke out the entirety of day 9, meal 3 into my shirt. I hold the collar tight to my chest afterwards. It's disgusting, but contained. Better than letting it float around the control room and becoming a choking hazard. Oh gosh. I whimper. Gosh, this is. Can I do this? Oh my god, wait, Ryland is a canonical whimper. I mean, what? I didn't say anything. I didn't say anything. What do you mean? What do you mean I didn't say anything? What? Can I do this? Will I be rendered completely worthless from this point on? Will humanity die because I can't handle zero G? No. I clench my teeth. I clench my fists. I clench my butt. I clench every part of me that I know how to clench. It gives me a feeling of control. I'm doing something by aggressively doing nothing. He is. He's pathetic. I love him. After an eternity, the panic begins to ebb away. Human brains are amazing things. We can get used to just about anything. I'm making the adjustment. The slight reduction of fear has a feedback effect. I know I'll get less afraid now, and knowing that makes the fear subside even faster. Soon the panic dies down to fear, which diffuses into general anxiousness. Shut up, Vaughn. Yes, I know. I've if you okay, Emmy and Mari don't know my Twitter. They haven't seen the aggressive Ryland Grace horny posting that I've been doing for the past several weeks. It's a lot. It's a lot. Bad. Oh my god. I look around the control room and nothing seems right. Nothing changed, but now there's no down. I still feel sick to my stomach. I grab my collar in case I need to puke again, but it isn't necessary. I hold it in. Ooh. Oh, if you motherfuckers get your hands on my Twitter, then I could send it to you. You could fix my dropping follower count. Feeling of warm vomit squishing between my chest and jumpsuit is disgusting. I need to change. Fun. Don't fucking expose me. Oh my god. I aim myself at the hatchway leading to the lab and kick off the bulkhead behind me. I float down into the lab. The whole room is cluttered with random floating debris. I left things out on the table when I cataloged them. Now all that stuff is wandering around freely, wafted along by currents from life support air vents. Tell me, I say to myself, I really should have seen that coming. Ryland is the only tsundere at himself I've ever seen. I continue onward to the bedroom. Not surprisingly, it's also got junk floating everywhere. I opened most of the bins in the storage area to see what was inside. Now the bins and their contents drift to and fro. Clean me, I say to the arms. The arms don't do anything. I strip down and use the jumpsuit to wipe gross stuff from my body. I found a sponge bath zone a few days ago. Just a sink with sponges that comes out of the wall. No room for a shower, I guess. Anyway, I clean up with that stuff. Not sure what to do with the gross, dirty stuff. Laundry? I say. The arms reach down and take the dirty jumpsuit from my hands. A panel in the ceiling opens and they put it in there somewhere. What happens when that fills up? No idea. I find a replacement jumpsuit in the flotsam and put it on. Putting on clothes in zero G is interesting. I wouldn't say it's harder, but it's different. I do manage to get the jumpsuit on. It's a little tight. I check the name patch. It says Yao. It's one of Yao's jumpsuits. Well, it's not too tight, and I don't want to bounce around the bedroom all day looking for mine. I'll organize it all later. For now, I'm too excited to see what's out there. I mean, come on! I'm the first human to explore another solar system, and I'm here! I launch off the floor towards the hatchway and miss. I crash into the ceiling. At least I got my arms up in time to protect my face. I bounce off the ceiling and back to the floor. Ow, I mumble. I try again, this time a little more slowly. I'm successful. I coast up through the lab and into the control room. Getting around sure is a lot easier when there's no gravity. I still feel queasy, but I have to admit, this is pretty fun. Sippy. Everybody hydrate. Ugh. I pull myself into the pilot's chair and strap myself in to keep from floating away. The navigation screen reads Primary transit complete. The spin drive screen says thrust 0, but most important, but the petroscope screen says ready. I rub my hands together, then reach for the screen. The interface is simple enough. The corner has an icon that is a toggle switch with two states, visible and Petrova. It's currently set to visible. The rest of the screen shows a visible light view from the ship. Seems like an ordinary camera. Poke at the screen and quickly realize I can pan, zoom in or out, rotate, and so on. Glug, glug, glug. Drinking carbonated water with the smallest ever amount of lemonade flavoring in it. So sparkling lemonade, basically. It was water once. All I see is stars in the distance. Guess I should pan around until I find Tau Ceti. I swipe my finger left, 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 just generally try to see where the star is. I don't have a frame of reference to work with. Every few left swipes, I throw in a down swipe just to cover all angles. Ooh, I like pancakes. That's fun. Can I trust you with making a decision for... Yeah, what's the decision? What, what's the... what's the decision, Emmy? Proto LaCroix. LaCroix! Yeah. Um, um, when I looked at it with the helioscope, it looked like any other star. But now it's a solid black circle with a hazy ring of light around it. I realized why immediately. Petrovoscope is a pretty sensitive piece of equipment. It's fine-tuned to spot even the smallest amounts of the Petrova wavelength. Star will give off absolutely obscene amounts of light at all wavelengths. It'd be like staring at the sun with binoculars. The equipment had to protect itself from the star. It probably has a physical metal plate that it keeps between its sensors and the star at all times. So I'm looking at the back of that plate. Good design. Shadow Sonic. Oh, Sonato always. Sonato always. That's the fastest answer. I've never played a single Sonic game, but that's the fastest answer I've ever given. I reach up to toggle the switch. This is it. If there's no Petrova line here, I don't know what to do. I mean, I'll try to figure something out, but I'll be kind of lost. Flip the toggle. The stars disappear. The hazy ring surrounding Tau Ceti remains. That's to be expected. It's the star's corona, which will be emitting plenty of light, so it's some of it's bound to be the Petrova wavelength. Search the image desperately. Nothing at first, but then I see it. A beautiful dark red arch coming out of the bottom left portion of Tau Ceti. Yes! The shape is unmistakable. It's the Petrova line. Tau Ceti has a Petrova line. I do a little wiggly dance in my chair. It's not easy in zero G, but I give it my all. Now we're getting somewhere. There are so many experiments I'll need to do. I don't even know where to begin. I should see where the line leads, for starters. One of the planets, obviously, but which one and what's interesting about it? And I should get a sample of the local astrophage to see if it's the same as what we have back on Earth. I could do that by flying into the Petrova line itself and then scraping the dust off the hull with an EVA. I could spend a week just writing up a list of experiments I want to do. It's about a flash on the screen, just a quick blip of light. What's that? I say. Another clue? Flash happens again. I pan and zoom in on that portion of the space. It's nowhere near the Petrova line or Tau Ceti. Maybe a reflection from a planet or asteroid? I can see how that might happen. A highly reflective asteroid could be bouncing enough light from Tau Ceti around that I see it on the Petrovoscope. But it's intermittent, so maybe it's an irregular shape that's rotating and the flash becomes a solid light. It's just on now, nonstop. I peer at the screen. What what's going on here? The light source becomes brighter. Not instantly, just gradually. Over time. I watch for a minute. It seems to get brighter faster now. Is it an object headed towards me? An instant hypothesis pops into my mind. Maybe astrophage are somehow attracted to other astrophage. Maybe some subset of them saw the flare from my engines, which would be the wavelength they use, and headed toward me. Maybe this is how they find them in migration group. So this could be a clump of astrophage headed my way, thinking I can lead them to the planet with carbon dioxide. Interesting theory. Nothing to back it up though. The steady light grows brighter, brighter, and then finally disappears. Huh, I say. I wait a few minutes, but the light does not return. I make a mental note of the anomaly, but For now, there's nothing I can do about it. Whatever it was, it's gone now. Back to the Petrova line. Something's wrong now. Half of it is just gone? It's coming out of Tau Ceti, just like it was a few minutes ago, but then it stops abruptly at a seemingly arbitrary point in space. What's going on? Did I mess up their migration pattern, maybe? If it's that easy, wouldn't we have worked that out when the Hail Mary was wandering around our own solar system? I zoom in on the cutoff point. It's just a straight line, like someone took an X-Acto knife to the whole Petrova line and threw away a scrap. A giant line of migrating astrophage doesn't just disappear. I have a simpler explanation. There's something on the camera lens. Some blob of debris, maybe a wad of overexcitable astrophage. That'd be nice. I'd have a sample to look at right away. Maybe a visible light view will give me a better idea of what's going on. I press the toggle button, and that's when I see it. There's an object blocking my view of the Petrova line. It's right next to my ship, maybe a few hundred meters away. It's roughly triangle shaped and it has gable like protrusions along its hull. Yes, I said hull. It's not an asteroid. The lines are too smooth, too straight. This object was made, fabricated, constructed. Shapes like this don't occur in nature. It's a ship. Another ship. There's a ship in this system with me. Those flashes of lights, those engines, it's astrophage powered just like the Hail Mary. But the design, the shape, it's nothing like any spacecraft I've ever seen. The whole thing is made of huge, flat surfaces, the worst possible way to make a pressure vessel. No one in their right mind would make a ship that shape. No one on Earth would, anyway. I blink a few times at what I'm seeing. I gulp. This This is an alien spacecraft made by aliens. Aliens intelligent enough to make a spacecraft. Humanity isn't alone in the universe, and I've just met our neighbors. Holy fucking shit. So that's chapter 6. How do we feel? What do you think? Was that amazing? Yes. That's chapter 6. Um that's oh, Mari, can I ask you to maybe avoid lyric spam in the chat? I appreciate that it's a thing that you do and it's very fun, but I'd like to at least try and keep the chat coherent, and I don't want to confuse anyone else coming in. But yeah, I think we just found the blip A. Uh, Honestly, re-listening to the audiobook, it's been really surprising to get to just how fast he finds Rocky's ship in the book. Like, only 6 chapters in. I mean, the chapters are huge, but if you think about it, it's pretty cool. So, how are you guys liking the book? Is this... I mean, I know Bond's been here since day one, but I hope that you guys are... I know I tend to read it in a very scattered way. I guess that's just how my brain interprets Ryland's inner monologue. He feels like a scatterbrain to me. Yeah, I'm glad. Uh, I don't know how many people in chat have seen the movie, so I don't know. He sparkles. I don't know how many people in chat have seen the movie, so I don't know how much of the book is new and how much of it is familiar. Also, that's the first time Ryland has actually swore the entire book. That last holy fucking shit. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Uh, That last holy fucking shit is the uh it's the only real time we hear him swear in the entire book, which is crazy to me. I'm begging you guys to see the movie. It just dropped on Prime Video. It's so good. Like, if you're not book readers, at least watch the movie, 'cause it's worth it. If you've read the book, the movie can be a little disappointing because there's a lot of characters in the book that just don't make it in. Like, but there's enough in common that it still gets the spirit of the book across, at least to me. I really appreciate it. So, you guys want to do chapter 7 today? Or at least start chapter 7? Well, of course, only the best for my beloveds, my beloved starlings. I hope to someday be your Oshi. I want to be someone's Oshi. All right, chapter 7. A flood of thoughts hit me all at the same time. We're not alone. This is an alien. That ship is weird. How does the engineering of that work? Do they live here? Is this their star? Am I starting an interplanetary incident by wandering into alien territory? Breathe, I tell myself. Oh, geez. You gotta be everywhere. You know what? Yeah, my Kohai Bliss is streaming Pathfinder Kingmaker later. So I might pop in there after this. One thing at a time. What if this is another ship from Earth? One I don't remember? Heck, it took me a few days to remember my name. Maybe Earth sent multiple ships with different designs? Like, for redundancy or to increase the odds? No, that's. I look all around the room. There are screens and controls for everything, but there's nothing for a radio. The EVA panel has some radio controls, but that's obviously just for talking to crewmates when they're outside. If they'd sent multiple ships, surely they would have had some radio systems we could talk to each other. Also, that ship, it's insane! I cycle through the navigation console screens till I find the radar panel. I'd noticed it earlier, but I didn't think much of it. I assume it's there so I can get near asteroids or other objects with and not collide with them. After a few halting attempts, I managed to turn it on. It immediately spots the other ship and sounds an alarm. The shrill noise hurts my ears. Whoa, 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 I say. I frantically scan the panel until I see a button labeled Mute Proximity Alert. I press it and the noise stops. I scan the rest of the screen. There's a lot of data here, all in a window titled Blip A. I guess if there were multiple contacts, I'd get multiple windows. Whatever, it's all just raw numbers about the reading. Nothing useful like an isometric Star Trek scan or anything. Velocity is 0. They've matched my velocity exactly. That can't be a coincidence. Range is 217 meters. I'm assuming that's the distance to the closest part of their ship. Or maybe the average? No, it would be the closest part. The point of this system is probably to avoid collisions. Speaking of collisions, 217 meters is a ridiculously small distance compared to the size of the solar system. There's no way this is a coincidence. That ship positioned itself here on purpose because I'm here. Another reading. Angular width is 35.44 degrees. Okay, some basic math should handle this. I bring up the utility panel on the main screen and launch the calculator app. Something 217 meters away is occupying 35.44 degrees of the view. Presuming the radar can see in all 360 degrees, it would be pretty cruddy radar if it couldn't. I type some numbers into the calculator and do an arctan operation, and the ship is 139 meters long, roughly. I bring the astrophage panel up on another screen. The little map there shows the Hail Mary is just 47 meters long. So, yeah, this alien ship is 3 times the size of mine. There's just no way Earth sent something that big. Then the shape. What is up with the shape? I turn my attention back to the petrophoscope, which is now acting as a camera. The center of the ship is diamond shaped, a rhombus. Well, I guess it's an octahedron, really? It looks like it has 8 faces, each triangular, and each triangular. That part alone is about the size of my ship. The diamond is connected by 3 thick rods, I don't know what else to call them, to a wide trapezoidal base that looks like it might be the rear, and in front is of the diamond is a narrow stalk, just making up terms at this point, that has 4 flat panels attached parallel to the main ship axis. Maybe solar panels? The stalk continues forward to a pyramid-shaped nose cone. Nose pyramid, I guess. Every part of the hull is flat. Even the rods have flat faces. Why would anyone do that? Flat panels are a terrible idea. I don't know anything about who made this, but presumably they need some kind of atmosphere inside, right? Huge flat panels are awful at that. Maybe this is just a probe and not an actual ship? Maybe there's no atmosphere inside because there's nothing alive inside? I might be looking at an alien artifact instead of a ship. Still, the most exciting moment in human history. So it's astrophage powered. That was the steady Petrova frequency glow I saw earlier. Interesting that they have the same propulsion tech as we do, but considering it's the best energy storage medium possible, that's not a surprise. When European mariners first came across Asian mariners, no one was surprised they both used sails. But the why, that's what gets me. Some entity aboard, either a computer or crew, decided to come to my ship. How did they even know I was here? Same way I saw them, I guess. A massive IR light coming off my engines. And since the rear of my ship was pointed at Tau Ceti, that means I was shining 450 trillion watt flashing in their direction. Or, I was shining a 450 trillion watt flashlight in their direction. Depending on where they were at the time, I might have appeared even brighter than Tau Ceti itself, at least in the Petrova frequency. So they can see the Petrova frequency, and so can I. I flip through the spin drive console screens until I find one labeled Manual Control. When I select it, a warning dialog pops up. Manual control is Manual control is recommended only for emergencies. Are you sure you want to enter manual control mode? I tap yes, it brings up another dialog. Send confirmation. Tap YES to enter manual control mode. I groan and type YES. The panel finally takes me to the manual control screen. It's a bit scary, not because it's complex, but because it's so simple. There are 3 sliders labeled Drive 1, Drive 2, and Drive 3, each presently at 0. The top of each slider is labeled 10 to the 7th N. The N must mean newtons, a unit of force. I guess if I threw all 3 drives into maximum, that would give me 30 million newtons. That's about 60 times the thrust a jumbo jet engines produce during takeoff. Science teachers know a lot of random facts. There are a bunch of little sliders in groups labeled yaw, pitch, and roll. There must be little spin drives on the side of the ship to adjust its orientation. I can definitely see why it's a bad idea to mess with this panel. One screw up and I'll put the ship into a spin that tears it apart. But at least they thought of that. There's a button in the middle of the screen labeled Zero All Rotation. Good. I check the Petrovoscope again. Flip A hasn't moved, it's on my port side and slightly forward. I flick the Petrovoscope back to the Petrova frequency mode, and the screen turns mostly black. As before, I can see the Petrova line in the background, occluded by the blip A. Let's see if you have anything to say, I mumble. Spin drive 2 is in the center of the ship. Its thrust will be along my central axis and hopefully won't introduce attitude change. We'll see. I set it up to 0.1% power for a second, then back to 0. Even with just one engine at 1,000th power, for 1 second, the ship drifts a bit. The velocity value for blip A on the radar panel shows 0.086 meters per second. That tiny thrust sent my ship moving, or millimeters, m/s, fuck, sent my ship moving about 8 centimeters per second. But I don't really care about that. I care about the other ship. I watch the Petrovoscope. A bead of sweat separates from my forehead and floats away. I feel like my heart's gonna beat out of my chest. Then the rear of the ship lights up in the Petrova frequency for 1 second, just like I did. Wow. I flick the drive off and on and off several times. 3 short bursts. A long one, a more short one, a short one, a long one, or 3 short bursts, a long one, and one more short one. There's no message there. I just want to see what they do with it. They were more prepared this time. Within seconds, the other ship repeats the pattern. I gasp and I smile, then I wince, then I smile again. This is a lot to take in. That was too fast for any probe to respond. If it had a remote control or something, the controllers would have to be at least a few light minutes away. There's just nothing around here that could be housing them. There's an intelligent life form aboard this ship. I am about 200 meters away from an honest to God alien. I mean, my ship is powered by aliens, but this new one is intelligent. Oh my gosh, this is it. First contact. I'm the guy. I'm the guy who meets aliens for the first time. The Blip A, that's what I'm calling their ship for now, fires up its engines again briefly. I watch closely to memorize the sequence, but there's just a single low intensity light. They're not signaling, they're maneuvering. I check the radar panel. Sure enough, the Blip A brings itself alongside the Hail Mary and holds position at 217 meters. Page flip. Amaze, amaze, amaze. I flicked through the scientific panel to bring the normal telescopic cameras back up. The Petrovoscope's normal light camera is just to orient things for the main scope itself. The telescope has much better resolution and clarity. I guess I'm too excited to think clearly because it took me until now to think of it. The image is far clearer through the main telescope. I guess it's just an insanely high resolution camera because I can still zoom in and out with no loss of clarity. I have a very good view of the Blip A now. The ship's hull is a mottled gray tan. The pattern seems random and smooth, like someone started mixing paint but stopped way too early. I spot motion in the corner of the screen. An irregular shaped object slides along a track in the hull. It's a stalk sticking up with 5 articulated arms coming out of the top. Each arm has a clamp like hand on the end. It's only now that I notice a network of the tracks along the hull. It's a robot. Something controlled from the inside. At least I assume it is. It doesn't look like a little green man, and it certainly doesn't look like an alien EVA suit. Not that I have any idea what either of those things would look like. Sorry, guys. I need to run to the bathroom. I need a second. I need to take a short break. I gotta pee. I just noticed. Hang on, okay? Back. It is Rocky time, yeah. Sorry about that. I have to go pee. You like the little guy on my head? Smiley Bomb. I can move him around, look. I just think he looks cutest on my head. Alright. He is. He's a bomb, but he's a very friendly bomb. Emily, do you recognize the little guy on my head? I know you do. He's been silently sitting up there this whole time, and I forgot to announce that he was there. Lily, you've made it! Hi! We're in the middle of chapter 7. I just got back from the bathroom. Hi! How's work going? Okay, I'm pretty sure it's a hull-mounted robot. Space stations back at Earth have them. They're a nice way to do stuff outside your ship without having to suit up. The robot works its way along the hull until it reaches the spot closest to the Hail Mary. One of its little clamp hands holds a cylindrical object. I don't really have a sense of scale, but the robot is tiny compared to the ship. I feel like it's about my size, maybe smaller, but that's a wild guess. Yeah. His streams are chiller now. I'm just glad he's back. But I got this Smiley Bomb commissioned from my wonderful model papa, Polly, Amber Drop. Um, yeah, we just found aliens. Uh, Lily, I was just explaining the little guy on my head. You may have noticed him. He's actually the mascot of my favorite non-VTuber streamer. This is Smiley Bomb. He is the mascot of Gianni Matragrano. I had him commissioned by my papa to sit on my head. That's all he does. Um, he can sit other places, but I think he looks best on my head. I just have a smiley bomb on my head. I like him. Whenever I miss Gianni, or I should really get back to watching his VODs in the background of doing other stuff. Whenever I miss him or I'm having a hard day, whenever I stream, I can come on here and there he is. I originally commissioned him so that whilst he was on hiatus, I could have something of him with me. And now it's just a walking sign that I'm a Gianni enjoyer. So one of my FOs is Gabriel from Ultrakill. Gianni is his voice actor. So that's part of how I found him. Um, the robot stops and reaches towards my ship and gently releases the cylinder into space. Cylinder moves slowly toward me. It has a slight rotation end over end. Not perfect, but still a very smooth release. Yes, he is my emotional support bomb. If nobody got me, I know Smiley Bomb got me. I check the radar panel. The blip A is at velocity 0, and there's a blip B screen now. It shows the much smaller cylinder approaching at 8.6 centimeters per second. Interesting. That's the exact same velocity I moved the Hail Mary a moment ago while flashing the engine to say hi. That can't be a coincidence. They want me to have the cylinder, and they want to deliver it to me at a velocity they know I'm comfortable working with. Very considerate of you, I say. These are smart aliens, and I have to assume friendly at this point. I mean, they're going out of their way to say hi and be accommodating. Besides, if there's hostile intent, what would I do about it? Die. That's what I'd do. I'm a scientist, not Buck Rogers. Well, I mean, I guess I could point the spin drives at their ship, fire them up to full, which would vaporize. You know what? I'm just not going to think along those lines right now. Some quick math tells me the cylinder will take over 40 minutes to reach me. I have a long time to get in an EVA suit, go outside, and position myself on the hull for humanity's first touchdown pass reception with an alien quarterback. I learned a lot about the airlock when I was giving my crewmates a burial in space, and Yukno would have loved this moment. She would have been absolutely bouncing around the cabin with excitement. Ya would have been stoic and steady, but he would have cracked a smile when he thought we weren't looking. The tears ruined my vision. Lacking gravity, they coat my eyes. It's like trying to see underwater. I wipe them off and fling them across the control room. They splatter onto the opposite wall. I don't have time for this. I have an alien thingy to catch. I unhook the belt on the chair and float over to the airlock. My mind is a whirl with ideas and questions, and I'm jumping to wild, unfounded conclusions left and right. Maybe this intelligent alien species invented astrophage? Maybe they genetically engineered it specifically to grow spaceship fuel, the ultimate in solar power. Maybe once I explain what's happening to Earth, they'll have a solution. Or maybe they'll board my ship and lay eggs in my brain. You can never be too sure. I open the inner airlock door and pull out the EVA suit. So I so do I have any idea how to get into this thing or how to safely use it? I disable the or I disable the chrysalis lock of the Orlan MKS2 EVA suit and open the rear hatch. I activate main power by flipping a switch on the belt. Suit boots up almost immediately, and the status panel attached to the chest component reads all systems functional. What the heck? I know everything that's going on in here. We were probably trained on this thing extensively. I know it the same way I know physics. It's there in my mind, but I don't remember learning it. The Russian, you know what would be fun? If I could make Smiley Bomb into one of those little guys that talks for your chat. So then whenever somebody sends me like a donation or something, or like whatever, that Smiley Bomb could say something. That'd be fun. The Russian made suit is a single pressure vessel. Unlike American models where you put the top and bottom on, then a bunch of complex stuff for the helmet and goggles, the Orlan series is basically a onesie with a hatch in the back. You step into it's like power armor. You step into it, close the hatch, and you're done. It's like an insect molting in reverse. Oh my god, it's power armor, you guys. It's just power armor. I open the back and wriggle into the suit. Zero G is a real boon here. I don't have to fight with the suit nearly as much as I normally would. Weird. I know this is easier than other times I've done it, but I don't remember any other times I've done it. I think I have brain damage from the coma. I'm functional enough for now, I press on. I get my arms and legs into their respective holes. The jumpsuit is uncomfortable in the Orlan. I'm supposed to be wearing a special undergarment. I even know what it looks like. It's just for temperature regulation and biomonitoring. I don't have time to find it in the storage area. I have a date with a cylinder. No, no, like power armor in Fallout. Uh, um, in Fallout, especially Fallout 4, the Brotherhood of Steel use this power armor. It's basically like a giant steel suit of armor that you can like. It's like a mech. Um, this EVA suit is reminding me of the animation to get into your power armor. Now in the suit, I push steadily against the airlock wall with my legs to push. Whoa, I'm dizzy. Sorry, hold on a sec. I feel that's weird. But to push open the rear flap to the wall. Once it gets within a few inches, centimeters, I should say, this is Russian made after all, a light turns green on the chest mounted status panel. Reach up to the panel with my thickly gloved hand and press the auto seal button. Suit ratchets the opening closed with a series of loud clicks. With a final clunk, the outer seal locks into place. My status board reads green, and I have 7 hours of life support available. Internal pressure is 400 hectopascals, about 40% of Earth's atmosphere at sea level. That's normal for spacesuits. The whole process took only 5 minutes, and I'm ready to go outside. Interesting, I didn't have to go through a decompression step. On space stations back home, astronauts have to spend hours in an airlock slowly acclimating to the low pressure needed for the EVA suit before they can go out. I don't have that problem. Apparently, the entire Hail Mary is at that 40% pressure. Good design. The only reason space stations around Earth have a full atmosphere of pressure is in case the astronauts have to abort and return to Earth in a hurry. But for the Hail Mary crew? Where would we go? May as well use the low pressure all the time. Makes things easier on the whole and lets you do rapid EVAs. Take a deep breath and let it out. Soft whir comes from somewhere behind me, and cool air flows along my back and shoulders. Air conditioning. Feels nice. Grab a handhold and spin myself around. Pull the inner airlock door closed and then rotate the primary level to begin the cycling sequence. The pump fires up. It's louder than I would have thought. It sounds like an idling motorcycle. Keep my hand on the lever, pushing it back into the original lever. Pushing it back to the original position will cancel the cycle and repressurize. If I see even a hint of red light on my suit panel, I'm going to throw that lever so fast it'll make my head spin. After a minute, the pump grip is quieter, then quieter still. It's probably as loud as it ever was, but with the air leaving the chamber, there's no way for the noise to get to me other than through my feet touching the Velcro pads on the floor. Finally, the pump stops. I'm in total silence aside from the fans inside the suit. The airlock controls show that the pressure inside is 0, and a yellow light turns green. I'm clear to open the outer door. I grab the hatch crank, then hesitate. What am I doing? I say. Is this really a good idea? I want that cylinder so badly, I'm just plowing ahead without any sort of plan. Is this worth risking my life over? Yes, unequivocally. Okay, but is it worth risking the lives of everyone on Earth over? Because if I mess up and die out there, then the whole Hail Mary project will have been in vain. Hmm. Yep, still worth it. I don't know what these aliens are like, what they want, or what they're planning to say, but they will have information. Any information. Even stuff I'd rather not know is better than none. I spin the handle and open the door. The empty blackness of space lies beyond. The light of Tau Ceti glistens off the door. I peek my head out and see Tau Ceti with my own eyes. At this distance, it's a little less bright than the sun as seen from Earth. I double check my tether to make darn sure I'm attached, then I step out into space. There's a break in the line. How are we feeling? It's 11:15. I'm gonna go grab some ice cream. Uh, it'll take me 2 seconds. Yep, we're almost to Rocky. We are getting so close to Rocky, it's ridiculous. We've found his ship, and they're in the throwing things at each other for communication phase. Give me a sec. Give me a sec. Alright, we're good. Oh boy, you can smell him, can you? Apparently he smells like ammonia. We'll get to that. Hope you like ammonia. Oh, Okay. I'm good at this. Must have practiced a lot. Maybe in a neutral buoyancy tank or something, but it comes as second nature to me. I exit the airlock and clamp one of my tethers to a rail on the outside hull. Always have two tethers, and always have at least one attached. That way you're never at risk of floating away from the ship. The Orlan MKS-2 is possibly the best EVA suit ever made, but it doesn't have a safer unit like NASA's EMU suit. At least with a safer unit, you have minimal thrust capability to return to the ship if you fall adrift. All that information floods into my mind at once. I guess I've put a lot of time and thought into spacesuits. Maybe it's good. Maybe I'm our crew's EVA specialist? I don't know. I flip the sun visor and peer toward the blip A. I wish I could glean some special insight by seeing it in person, but it's pretty far away. The Hail Mary's telescope gave me a much better view. Still, there's something unique about staring directly at an alien spacecraft. I catch a glint of the cylinder. Every now and then, the flat ends of the gently tumbling cylinder reflect towlight. I've decided towlight is a word, by the way. Light from Tau Ceti is not sunlight. Tau Ceti isn't the sun, so towlight. We still have a good 20 minutes before the cylinder reaches the ship. I'll watch it for a while to guess where it'll hit. It'd be nice to have a crewmate inside at the radar station. It'd be nice to have a crewmate at all. After 5 minutes, I have a good beat on the cylinder. It's headed for roughly the center of the ship. It's as good a place for the alien as any for aliens to aim for. I make my way across the hull. The Hail Mary is pretty big. My little pressurized area is only half its length, and the back half flares out to be 3 times as wide. Most of that'll be empty now, I guess. It used to be full of astrophage for my one-way trip here. The hull is crisscrossed with rails and latch points for EVA tethering. Tether by tether, rail by rail, I make my way toward the center of the ship. I have to step over a thick ring. It circles the crew compartment area of the ship. It's a good 2 feet thick. I don't know what it is, but it must be pretty heavy. Mass is everything when it comes to a spaceship design, so it must be important. I'll speculate about that later. I continue along one hull latch point at a time until I'm roughly in the center of the hull. The cylinder creeps closer. I adjust my position a tad to keep up with it. After an excruciatingly long wait, it's almost within reach. I wait. No need to get greedy. If I pod it too early, I might knock it off course and into space. I have no way of recovering it. I don't know look dumb in front of the aliens. Because they're surely watching me right now. Probably counting my limbs, noting my size, figuring out what part of me they should eat first, whatever. I let the cylinder get closer and closer. It's moving less than 1 mile per hour, not exactly a bullet pass. How did it so close I can estimate its size? It's not big at all. About the size and shape of a coffee can. It's dull gray color with splotches of slightly darker gray randomly here and there. Similar to the Blip A's hull. Kind of. Different color but same blotchiness. Maybe it's a stylistic thing? Maybe random splotches are in this season or something. Oh. Cylinder floats into my arms and I grab it with both hands. It has less mass than I expected. It's probably hollow. It's a container. There's something inside they want me to see. I hold the cylinder under one arm and use the other to deal with tethers. I hurry back into the airlock and float into the control room with my prize in hand. I open the Orlan suit, already thinking about what tests I'll run on the cylinder. I have a whole lab to work with. The smell hits me immediately. I gasp and cough. This cylinder is bad. No, not bad, but it smells bad. I barely breathe. The chemical smell is familiar. What is it? Cat pee? Ammonia. It's ammonia. Oh no. Okay, okay, I wheeze. Think. My gut instinct is to close the suit again, but that would just trap me with a small volume of the ammonia that's already in there. Better to let the cylinder air out in the larger volume of the ship. Ammonia isn't toxic, at least not in small quantities, and the fact I can still breathe at all tells me it's a small quantity. If it weren't, my lungs would have caustic burns and I'd be unconscious or dead now. As it is, there's just a bad smell. I can handle a bad smell. I climb out of the back of the suit while the cylinder floats in the middle of the console room. Now that it's not a shock anymore, I can handle the ammonia. It's no worse than using a bunch of Windex in a small room. Unpleasant, but not dangerous. I grab the cylinder and it's hot as heck. I yelp and pull my hands away. I blow on them for a moment and check for burns. It wasn't too bad, not stovetop hot, but hot. Grabbing it with my bare hands was stupid, flawed logic. I assumed that since I'd been holding it earlier, it was okay to do now, but earlier I had very thick spacesuit gloves protecting my hands. You've been a bad alien cylinder, I say to it. You need a timeout. Can he talk to me like that? I mean, what? I mean, I didn't say anything. You didn't hear that. Arid's atmosphere is almost entirely ammonia. I pull my arm into the sleeve and wrap my hand in the cuff. I use my now protected knuckles to nudge the cylinder into the airlock. Once it's in, I close the door. I let it be for now. It'll cool down to ambient air temperature eventually, and while it does, I don't want it floating randomly around the ship. I don't think there's anything in the airlock that can get hurt by some heat. How hot was it? Well, I had both my hands on it, like an idiot, for a fraction of a second. My own reaction time was enough to keep me from getting burned, so it's probably less than 100 degrees Celsius. Where did the heat come from? I mumbled. The cylinder was out in space for a good 40 minutes. Over that time, it should have radiated heat via black body radiation. It should be cold, not hot. I'm about 1 AU from Tau Ceti, and Tau Ceti has half the luminosity of the sun. So I don't think the Tau light could have heated the cylinder out much. Definitely not more than a black body radiation would cool it down. So either it has a heater inside, or it was extremely hot when it started its trip. Guess I'll find out soon enough. It's not very heavy, so it's probably thin. If there's no internal source, it'll cool off very fast in there. The room still smells like ammonia. Yuck. I float down to the lab. I don't know where to begin. So many things I want to do. Maybe I should just start identifying the material the cylinder is made of? Something harmless to the Blippe's crew might be incredibly toxic to me, and neither of us would know it. Maybe I should check for radiation. I drift down to the lab table and pull out a hand to steady myself. I'm getting better at the zero G thing. I think I remember seeing an astronaut documentary saying some people handle it fine while others really struggle. Looks like I'm one of the lucky ones. I'm using lucky loosely here. I'm on a suicide mission, so yeah. The lab is a mystery. It has been for a while. It's clearly set up with the idea that there'll be gravity. It has tables, chairs, X tube, test tube trays, etc. There's none of the usual stuff you'd expect to see in a weightless environment. No Velcro on the walls, no computer screens at all angles, no efficient use of space. Everything assumes there will be a floor. Oh yeah, the ship can accelerate just fine, for a good long time too. It had me at 1.5 Gs for probably a few years, but they can't expect me to just leave the engines on and fly in circles to keep the gravity in a lab, right? I look around at each piece of lab equipment and try to relax my mind. There has to be a reason for this, and it's in my memory somewhere. The trick is to think about what I want to know, but not stress about it too much. It's like falling asleep. You can't really do it if you concentrate on it too hard. So many, so many top of the line pieces of equipment. I let my mind wander as I scan across them all. And that's the end of chapter 7. Yippee! How are you guys feeling? How are we so far? We're about to get to one of my favorite characters on the science team that isn't Dimitri, which is very exciting. But are you guys liking it? Did you like chapter 7? I feel like a small, we're getting to Rocky soon, I promise. I feel like a small child showing their dad a drawing they made. Hold on. Like, I feel like I'm going, do you like it? Do you like it? Rocky soon question? Rocky soon statement. Uh, but we also get to meet a member of the science team that I'm very fond of. Um, I'm very excited about that. Um, so let's get to it. Let's do some. You guys want chapter 8? We can do chapter 8 if you guys want chapter 8. We'll do chapter 8. Fuck it. By the time we reached Geneva, I'd completely lost track of what day it was. The computer models for the astrophage breeder weren't lining up with the real world performance, though I had managed to breed to almost 6 grams of astrophage so far. When all was said and done, the aircraft carrier's reactor just couldn't generate enough heat to speed up the reaction any further. Strat kept vaguely saying they were going to provide a heat source capable of keeping up, but nothing had come of it yet. I typed away on my computer even as the luxury private jet came to a halt at the gate. Strat had to nudge me to make me stop working at all. 3 hours later, we waited in a conference room. Always a conference room. My life was a collection of conference rooms these days. This one was nicer than most, at least, with fancy wood paneling and a stylish mahogany table. It was really something. Strat and I didn't talk. I worked on heat transfer rate coefficients while she typed away on our laptop, doing gosh knows what. We spent enough time together as it was. Finally, a dour looking woman entered the room and just sat across from Strat. Thank you for seeing me, Miss Strat, she said with a Norwegian accent. No need to thank me, Dr. Loken, she said. I'm here against my will. You are? I thought you scheduled this. She didn't take her eyes off the Norwegian. I scheduled it because I had 6 different world leaders on the phone at the same time nagging me to do it. I finally relented. And you are? Loken asked me. Ryland Grace. She actually backed away. The Ryland Grace, author of an analysis of water-based assumptions and recalibration of expectations for evolutionary models. Yeah, got a problem with that? I said. Strat half smiled at me. You're famous. Infamous, said Logan. His childish paper was a slap in the face to the entire scientific community. This man works for you? Absurd. All his assumptions about alien life were proven wrong. I scowled. Hey, my claim is that life doesn't need water to evolve. Just because we found some life that does use water doesn't mean I'm wrong. Of course it does. Two life forms independently evolved to require water. Independently? I snorted. Are you out of your mind? Do you honestly think something as complicated as mitochondria would evolve the same way twice? This is obviously a panspermia event. She waved off my statement as if it were an annoying instinct, or annoying insect. Astrophage mitochondria is very different from Earth mitochondria. They clearly evolved separately. They're 98% identical. Hmm, said Strat. I don't really know what you're fighting about, but can we? I pointed at Loken. This idiot thinks astrophage evolved independently, but it's obvious astrophage and Earth life are related. That's fascinating, but Loken slapped the table. How could a common ancestor have gotten across interstellar space? Same way astrophage does. She leaned toward me. Then why haven't we seen interstellar life all along? I leaned toward her. No idea. Maybe it was a fluke. How do you explain the differences in mitochondria? 4 billion years of evolution, of divergent evolution. Stop, Strat said calmly. I don't know what this is. Some sort of science-related pissing contest. But that's not what we're here for. Dr. Grace, Dr. Loken, please sit down. I flopped into my seat and folded my arms. Loken sat as well. Strat fiddled with a pen. Dr. Loken, you've been hassling governments to hassle me over and over, day in and day out. I know you want to be involved in Project Hail Mary, but I won't make it a huge international mess. We don't have time for politicking and kingdom building that always happens on big projects. I'm not happy to be here either, Loken said. I'm here at great inconvenience to me as well as you, because this was the only way to tell you a critical design flaw in the Hail Mary. Stratz sighed. We sent out those preliminary designs for general feedback, not command appearances in Geneva. Then file this under general feedback. Could have been an email. You would have deleted it. You have to listen to me, Strat. This is important. Strat twirled a pen around a few more times. Well, I'm here. Go ahead. Locken cleared her throat. Correct me if I'm wrong, but the entire purpose of the Hail Mary is to be a laboratory. One we can send to Tau Ceti to see why that star, and that star alone, is immune to astrophage. That's right. She nodded. Then would you also agree that the lab aboard the ship itself is the most important component? Yes, without it, yes, Strat said. Without it, the mission is meaningless. Then we have a serious problem. Locken pulled several sheets of paper from her purse. I have a list of the lab equipment you want aboard. Spectrometers, DNA, sequencers, microscopes, chemistry lab glassware. I'm aware of the list, Strat said. I was the one who signed off on it. Locken dropped the papers to the side. Most of this stuff won't work in zero-G. Strat rolled her eyes. We've thought of that, of course. Companies all over the world are working on zero-G rated versions of this equipment as we speak. Locken shook her head. Do you have any idea how much research and development went into making electron microscopes, gas chromatographs, everything else on this list? A century of scientific advances brought about by failure after failure. You want to just assume that making these things zero-G functional is going to work on the first try? I don't see any way around it unless you've invented artificial gravity. We have invented artificial gravity, Falcon insisted, a long time ago. Strat shot me a look. Obviously, that had caught her off guard. I think she means a centrifuge, said. I know she means a centrifuge, Strat said. What do you think? I hadn't thought about it before. I guess it could work. Strat shook her head. No, that won't fly. We have to keep things simple as possible. Big solid ship, minimal moving parts. The more complications we have, the more points of failure we risk. It's worth the risk, said Loken. We'd have to add sir we'd have to add a huge counterweight to the Hail Mary to even we'd have to add a huge counterweight to the Hail Mary to even make that work. Strack pursed her lips. I'm sorry, but we barely have enough energy to make the astrophage from the current mass limit. You can't just double it. Wait, we have enough energy to make all the fuel? When did that happen? I say. "Y- You don't need mass, Hawkins said. She pulled another paper from her purse and slapped it down on the table. If you take the current design, cut it in half between the crew compartment and the fuel tanks, the two sides will have a good mass ratio for a centrifuge. Strap here to the diagram. You put all the fuel on the same side. That's 2 million kilograms. No, I shook my head. The fuel would be gone. They both looked at me. It's a suicide mission, I said. The fuel will be gone when they get to Tau Ceti. Loken picked a split point where the back. Loken picked a split point where the back of the ship will weigh 3 times as much as the front. It's a good mass ratio for a centrifuge. It could work. Thank you, said Loken. How do you cut a ship in half? Asked Strat. How does it become a centrifuge? Loken flipped the diagram over to reveal a detailed image showing a fairing between two ship halves. Spools of nylon cabling between the crew compartment and the rest of the ship. We could simulate 1 g of gravity with 100 meters of separation. Strat pinched her chin. Had something. Had someone actually changed her mind on something? I don't like the complexity, she said. I don't like risk. This rem- this removes complexity and risk, Falcon said. The ship, the crew, the astrophage, it's all just a support system for the lab equipment. You need reliable equipment. Stuff that's been in use for years, with millions of man hours on commercial use. Every imaginable kink has been worked out of those systems. If you have 1 g of gravity to make sure they'll be in the environment they were perfected for, you'll get the benefit of all that reliability. Hmm, Strat said. Grace, your thoughts? I think it's a good idea. Really? Yeah, I said. I mean, we already have to design the ship to withstand 4 years of constant acceleration at 1.5 Gs or so. That's going to be pretty solid. She took a longer look at Locken's diagram. Wouldn't this make the artificial gravity in the crew area upside down? And she was right. The Hail Mary was designed so that down was toward the engines. As the ship accelerates, the crew is pushed down to the floor. But inside a centrifuge, down is always away from the center of rotation, so the crew would all be pushed towards the nose of the ship. Yes, that would be a problem. Locken pointed to the diagram. The cables didn't attach directly to the crew compartment. They attached at two large discs on either side. The cabling attaches to these big hinges. The whole front half of the ship can rotate 180 degrees, so when they're in centrifuge mode, the nose will face inward towards the other half of the ship. Inside the crew compartment, the force of gravity will be away from the nose, same as when the engines are thrusting. Strat took it in. This is a fairly complicated piece of machinery, and you'll be breaking the ship into two parts. You honestly think that's less of a risk? Less risk than using brand new, insufficiently tested equipment, trust me. I've used sensitive equipment. Oh shit, that's a Ryland line. Less risk than using a brand new, insufficiently tested equipment, trust me. I've used sensitive equipment most of my career, I said. It's finicky and delicate even in ideal conditions. Strap picked up her pen and tapped it on the table several times. Okay, we'll do it. Larkin smiled. Excellent. I'll write up a paper and send it along to the UN. We'll form a committee. No, I said we'll do it, Strat said up. You're with us now. Dr. Loken, pack a bag and meet us at the Geneva Airport, Terminal 3. Private plane called Strat. What? I work for ESA. I can't just. Yeah, don't. Yeah, don't bother, I said. She's gonna call your boss or your boss's boss or whatever and have you assigned to her. You just got drafted. I wasn't volunteering to design it personally, Loken protested. I only meant to point out. I never said you volunteered, Strat said. It's not voluntary at all. You can't just force me to work for you. But Strat was already walking out of the room. Meet us at the airport in 1 hour. I'll have the Swish camaraderie drag you there in 2 hours. Your call. Lawkins stared at the door, flabbergasted, then back to me. You get used to it, I said. So what do you guys think of Dr. Lucken? I fucking love her. Isn't she fun? She's actually in the movie briefly, but I like her more here. I think her beef with Ryland that then immediately becomes beef with Strat is really funny. Um, you guys like her? Do you like her? She's fun. I like her. That ship is a centrifuge. I remember it all now. That's why there's a mysterious area called cable ferrying. That's where the spools and Xylon cables are. The ship can break in half, turn the crew compartment around, and spin. That turning around part, that's the weird ring I saw on the hull during my EVA. I remember the design now. It has two big hinges on it, allowing the crew compartment to turn around before the centrifuge is activated. It's strangely reminiscent of a Apollo spacecraft. The lunar lander was attached below the command module at launch, but they'd separate, turn the command module around, and reconnect with the lander during their trip to the moon. It's one of those things that looks ridiculous, but ends up being the most effective way to solve a problem. I float back up to the cockpit and flip through the screens on the various consoles. As each one fails to be what I want, I move to the next. Finally, I find it. The centrifuge screen. It was hiding out as a subpanel on the life support screen. It looks simple enough. There are yaw pitch and roll readouts showing the current state of the ship, just like the navigation panel has. A separate readout is labeled crew compartment angle. That must be the turning around bit. Each one reads 0 degrees per second. Below those is a button labeled engage centrifuge sequence. Underneath that are a bunch of numbers related to rotational acceleration rate, final speed, spooling rate, estimated g-force, and the floor of the lab. 4 different screens for spool status. I guess there are 4 spools, 2 on each side. Uh, with emergency protocols to follow if there's a problem, and a lot more stuff I won't pretend I understand. The important thing is that all those readouts have values already in them. Gotta love computers. They do all the thinking for you so you don't have to. I do take a closer look at the emergency protocol mode. It just reads spin down. I tap the readout and drop down appears. Looks like my options are spin down, halt all spools, and one in red labeled separate. I'm pretty sure I don't want to do that. I suspect spin down will slowly decelerate the ship's spin if there's a problem. Sounds good, so I'll leave it set to that. I'm about to engage the centrifuge, but then I pause. Is everything tied down? Is it safe to suddenly have a bunch of force acting on the ship? I shake it off. The ship was accelerating constantly for several years. It has to be comfortable with a little centrifuge action, right? As hundreds of astronauts have done before, I place my faith and life in the hands of the engineers who designed the system. Well, can I guess? I hope she did her job. I push the button. First, nothing happens. I wonder if I even pressed it right or if I just fumbled at the screen like I have so many times on my phone in the past. Then an alert chimes through the ship. The piercing triple beep repeats every few seconds. There's no way for any crew members to miss a signal like that. Final warning, I guess, in case the crew had a failure to communicate. Over my head, the Petrovoscope screen changes to lockout mode. It confirms my earlier suspicion that the ship's maneuvering engines are astrophage based. I mean, it's kind of obvious when you think about it, but I wasn't sure until now. The beeping stops and nothing really happens. Then I notice that I'm closer to the nav panel than I was before. I drifted to the edge of the room, put my arm out to steady myself and get back to normal, and then I drift toward the nav panel again. Oh, I say. It's begun. I'm not drifting toward the nav panel. The whole cockpit is drifting toward me. The ship is starting to spin. Everything veers off and changes direction. That'll be because as the ship spins, the crew compartment is also turning around. This could get complicated. Oh, right. I kick off the wall and into the pilot seat. I tilt, or rather, the room tilts? No, that doesn't make sense. Nothing tilts. The ship is spinning around faster and faster. It's also accelerating the acceleration. Also, the front half of the ship has detached from the rear and is rotating around those two big hinges. When it's done, the nose will be pointed in towards the rear half of the ship. All of this going on at the same time. So the forces I'm feeling are really weird. Extremely complicated stuff, but also not my problem. It's up to the computer to deal with. Watch the centrifuge panel. The pitch reads 0.17 degrees per second. Another readout labeled component separation reads 2.4 meters. There's a little beep and the crew compartment angle readout blinks. It shows 180 degrees. I assume this whole sequence was worked out well in advance to minimize shock to the system and or crew. I feel a slight pressure on my butt as the seat presses up against me. The transition is very smooth. I just experience more and more gravity in what feels like a tilting room. It's a weird sensation. I know logically that I'm on a ship spinning around, but there are no windows to see out of, only screens. I checked the telescope screen. It's still pointed at the blip A. Stars in the background do not move. It's accounting for my rotation and somehow canceling it. That bit of software was probably tricky considering the camera probably isn't at the exact center of rotation. My arms grow heavy, so I put them on the armrest. I have to start using my neck muscles again for the first time in a while. 5 minutes after the sequence began, I experienced a little less than normal Earth gravity. A quadruple beep announces the end of the sequence. I check the centrifuge screen. It shows a pitch rate of 20.71 degrees per second and a total separation of 104 meters and a lab gravity of 1.00 g. 1 g. I hate these fucking numbers, man. The diagram of the ship shows the Hail Mary split in two pieces. The nose of the crew compartment pointed inward toward the other half. The two halves are comically far apart, but the entire system spins slowly. Well, actually, pretty fast, but it looks slow at that scale. I unstrap from the chair, walk to the airlock, and open the hatch. The smell of ammonia drifts into the cockpit again, but not nearly as bad as before. The alien artifact lies on the floor. Give it a quick touch with my finger to gauge temperature. It's still pretty warm, but no longer scalding hot. Good. There's no internal heater or weird stuff like that. It's just started out really hot. Pick it up. Time to see what this thing is made of and what's inside. Before leaving the cockpit, I take one look at the telescope screen. I don't know why, I guess. I just like to keep track of what extraterrestrial ships in my vicinity are up to. The Blip A spins in space. It rotates end over end, probably exact same rate as the Hail Mary. I guess they saw me spinning the centrifuge and figured it was another communication thing. Humanity's first miscommunication with an intelligent alien race. Glad I could be part of it. I set the cylinder on the lab table. Where do I begin? Everywhere. I check to see if it's radioactive with a Geiger counter. It's not. That's nice. I poke it with various things to get a feel for hardness. It's hard. It looks like metal, but doesn't quite feel like metal. I use a multimeter to see if it's conductive. It isn't. Interesting. Get a hammer and chisel. I want a small chip of the cylinder material for a gas chromatograph. That way I'll know what elements it's made of. After a few smacks with the hammer, the chisel chips. The cylinder isn't even dented. Hmm. The cylinder is too big to put in the gas chromatograph, but I find a handheld X-ray spectrometer. It looks like a UPC scanner gun. Easy enough to use, and it'll give me some idea of what this thing is made of. It's not as accurate as the chromatograph, but better than nothing. After a quick scan, it tells me the cylinder is made of xenon. What? I use the spectrometer on the steel lab table to make sure it's working correctly. It reports iron, nickel, chromium, and so on. Just what it should say. So I check the cylinder again and get the same wacky results as with my first test. I test it 4 more times, but keep getting the same answer. Why did I run the test so many times? Because those results make no sense at all. Xenon is a noble gas. It doesn't react with anything. It doesn't form bonds with anything. And it's a gas at room temperature, but somehow it's part of this solid material? And no, it's not a cylinder filled with xenon or anything like that. A spectrometer is not a deep penetrating scan. It can only tell you what's on the surface. If I pointed it at a gold plated nickel, it would say 100% gold because that's all it can see. It can only tell me what the molecules on the surface of the cylinder are made of, and apparently they're made of xenon. This handheld spectrometer can't detect elements lower than aluminum. So there could be carbon, hydrogen, nitrogen, whatever is lurking in there too. But as for elements within the detector's range, I'm looking at pure xenon. How? I plop down onto a stool and stare at the cylinder. What a strange artifact. What do I even call noble gases that react with things? Ignobles? But being flummoxed has one good side effect. It makes me stop my frenzied attack on the cylinder and just look at it. For the first time, I see there's a thin line running around the circumference about an inch from the top. Feel it with my fingernail. It's definitely an indentation of some kind. Is that a lid? Maybe it just opens. Pick up the cylinder and try to pull off the top. It doesn't bulge, or it doesn't budge. On a whim, I try to unscrew it. It also doesn't budge. But there's no reason aliens would follow the righty-tighty, lefty-loosey rule, is there? I turn the lid to the right and it rotates. My heart skips a beat. I keep turning. After 90 degrees, I feel it release. I pull the two chunks apart. Both halves have complicated stuff going on inside. They look like models of some kind. They both feature whisker thin poles sticking up from their bases, leading to spears of various sizes. I don't see any moving parts, and everything appears to be made out of the same weird material as the case. Check out the bottom half first. Have to start somewhere. A single whisker holds up an abstract sculpture? It's a marble sized sphere and a BB sized sphere, each held in place by thinner whiskers branching off into the main vertical trunk. There's also an oddly parabolic shape connecting the tops of the two spheres. This whole thing looks familiar to me, but why? Petrovaline! I blurt out. I've seen that arc and shape enough times to know it by heart. My heart races. I point to the large sphere. So you must be a star, and the little guy must be a planet. These aliens are aware of astrophage, or at least they're aware of the Petrovaline. That doesn't really tell me anything. We're in an astrophage powered ship, of course they know about astrophage. And we're chatting in the solar system that has a Petrovaline, so that's not surprising either. This might be their home system for all I know. It's a good start, though. We were talking by flashing our engines, so they know I use astrophage and that I can see, with help from the ship, the Petrova frequency. From that, they concluded I must be able to see the Petrova line. They're smart. I took the other half of the doohickey. Dozens of whiskers rise from the base. They're all different lengths, and each one ends in a sphere less than a millimeter across. Poke a whisker with my finger and it doesn't bend. Press harder and harder. Eventually, the whole doohickey slides on the table. Those whiskers are stronger than anything that thin should be. I guess xenon makes a pretty strong material when you get it to react with things. It infuriates my tender scientist heart. I try to put it out of my head and get back to the task at hand. I count 31 whiskers, each one with its little sphere on the end. While counting, I spot something special. There's one whisker sticking up from the exact center of the disc, but unlike the others, it's not connected to a sphere. I squint to get a good look. Instead of a single sphere, it's two spheres of different sizes and an arc. Okay, I see. It's a very small replica of the Petrovaline model on the other half of the doohickey. Maybe 1/20th the scale, and that little Petrovaline model has an even thinner whisker connecting it to another sphere at the tip of a different whisker. No, not quite a sphere. It's another Petrovaline model. I scour the rest of the doohickey for any more of them, but I don't see any. Just one in the middle and one off to the side. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. I pull out the drawer that has the lab computer panel in it. Time to make use of that virtually infinite reference material. I find a huge spreadsheet with the information I need, bring it into Excel, strat loved, well tested off the shelf products, and do a bunch of operations on it. Soon I have the data plot I want it, and it matches. Stars! Little spheres on the end of the whisker are stars. Of course they are. What else would have a Petrova line? But they're not just any old stars. These are specific stars. They're all in correct relative positions with one another. With Tau Ceti right at the center. The map's point of view is kind of odd. To make the spheres match any data plot or star locations, I have to hold the doohickey at a 30-degree angle, kind of rotate it around a bit. But of course, all of Earth's data is based on Earth's orbital plane being the reference point. People from a different planet would have a different coordinate system. But no matter how you look at it, the end result is the same. The doohickey is a map of the local stars. And suddenly I'm very interested in that little filament connecting the center sphere, Tau Ceti, to another sphere. I check the corresponding star in my catalog. It's called 40 Iridini. But I bet the crew of the Blip A call it home. That's the message. We're from the 40 Eridani system, and now we're here at Tau Ceti. There's even more than that. They're also saying 40 Eridani has a Petrovaline just like Tau Ceti. I stop and let that sink in. Are you in the same boat? I say. Of course they are. Astrophage is getting at all the local stars. These people are from a planet orbiting 40 Eridani. 40 Eridani is just like Earth's sun. They have some pretty good science going on. So they did the same thing we did. Make a ship, go to Talseti, and see why it's not dying. Holy cow, I say. Yes, I'm jumping to a conclusion here. Maybe they harvest astrophage from their Petrova line and consider it a boon. Maybe they invented astrophage. Maybe they just think Petrova lines are pretty. There are a bunch of different things this could mean, but the most likely, in my admittedly biased opinion, is that they're here to find a solution. Aliens. Actual aliens. Aliens from the 40 Eridani system, so I guess that makes them Eridanians? Hard to say. Even harder to remember. Eridans? No. How about Iridians? Sounds it's kind of like iridium, which is one of the cooler sounding elements on the periodic table. Yes, I'm gonna call them Iridians. And I think it's pretty obvious how I should respond. Water, hold on. Oh, by the way, we're we're gonna call it a day at about 12:30. Um, that's about the point where I'm gonna start getting ready to leave. Because I'll have to get my dog outside and stuff. So when it gets to 12:30ish, let me know. I thoroughly searched the lab a few days ago. There's an electronic kit in one of the drawers. The trick is remembering which one. I don't remember, of course. It takes me a while of searching and not quite swearing while I do, but eventually I find it. I don't have any xenonite, that's what I'm calling this weird alien compound, and no one can stop me. But I do have solder and soldering iron. I break off a little piece of solder, melt one end, and stick it to the Tauseti sphere. It sticks pretty well, which is a relief. You never know with xenonite. I check, double check, and triple check to make sure I correctly identified which of the little stars in the model was Sol. Earth, Sun. I solder the other side of the wire to Sol. Search the lab till I find some hard paraffin. With some poking, open flames, and mild swearing, I'm able to make a really poor approximation of the Petrova line icon they sent me. I smush it into Sol in the model. It looks alright, at least good enough that they should get the idea. Take a look. Sleek, thin lines of xenite whiskers are ruined by my crooked, blob-ended solder addition and crappy wax model. It's like someone added a crayon drawing to the corner of a Da Vinci, but it'll have to do. I try to screw the top and bottom of the doohickey back together. They refuse to mate. I try again. It still doesn't work. I know, I'm sorry. I was distracted this morning because my chat kept talking about other things. Remember that Iridians use left-handed threading in their screws, so I do what to me is an unscrewing motion. The two pieces connect perfectly. Time to throw it back to them. Politely. Except I can't. Not with the ship spinning around like this. If I tried to step out of the airlock, I'd go flying off into space. I grab the doohickey and climb up to the control room. Strap myself into the chair and order the ship to spin down. Like last time, I feel the room tilt. Though this time it tilts the other way, and again, I know it's not actually tilting, it's just my perception of the lateral acceleration being applied, but whatever. I feel the gravity decrease to the tilt of the room, reduce until I'm back in zero G again. This time there's no disorientation. I guess my lizard brain has made its peace with the fact that gravity comes and goes. The operation ends with a final clunk as the reoriented crew compartment seats into the rear half of the ship. I get back in the EVA suit, grab the doohickey, and head out into space once again. I don't need to work my way across the hull with tethers this time, I just clip my tether in the airlock. The Blip A has stopped spinning, probably did it when the Hail Mary stopped, and it's still 217 meters away. I don't have to be Joe Montana to make this pass. I just need to set the doohickey in motion toward the Blip A. It's over 100 meters across. I should be able to hit it. I give the doohickey a shove. It floats away from me at a reasonable speed, maybe 2 meters per second, roughly a jogging pace. This is communication of a sort, too. I'm telling my new friends that I can handle slightly faster deliveries. The doohickey floats off towards the Iridian ship, and I head back into mine. Okay, guys, I say, the enemy of my enemy is my friend. If astrophage is your enemy, I'm your friend. I watch the telescope screen. Occasionally I look away. Sometimes I play Klondike Solitaire on the nav panel, but I never go more than a few seconds without checking the telescope. The thick pair of gloves harvested from the lab earlier tries to float away. I grab them and wedge them behind the pilot's seat. It's been 2 hours and my alien friends haven't had anything to say. Are they waiting for me to say something else? I just told them what star I was from. It's their turn to say something, right? Do they even have a concept of taking turns, or is that a purely human thing? What if Iridians have a lifespan of 2 million years and waiting a century to reply is considered polite? How am I gonna get rid of this red 7 on the rightmost pile? I don't have any black 8s in my deck and movement! I spin the telescope screen so fast my legs fly out of the middle of the control room. There's another cylinder coming my way. I guessed the many-armed hull robot thing through it just a moment ago. I check my radar screen. Blip B is plugging along at over a meter per second. I only have a few minutes to suit up. I get back into the EVA suit and cycle the airlock. Once I open the outer door, I spot the cylinder tumbling end over end. Might be the same one as before, might be new. And this time it's headed straight for the airlock. I guess that they saw that's where I exited and re-entered the ship and decided to make things easier for me. Very considerate of them. They're accurate, too. A minute later, the cylinder floats right through the center of the open archway. I catch it, I wave to the blip A, and close the hatch. They probably don't even know what a wave is, but I felt compelled to do it. I return to the control room and wiggle out of the EVA suit, leaving the cylinder to float near the airlock. The ammonia smell is powerful, but this time I'm ready for it. I put the thick lab gloves on and grab the cylinder. Even through the fireproof gloves, I can feel the warmth. I know I should wait for it to cool down, but I don't wanna. It looks the same as before. I unscrew the left-handed way. This time there's no star map. Instead, it's a model. What am I looking at here? A single post from the base holds up an irregular shape. No, two irregular shapes connected by a tube. Hey, wait, one of these ships is the Hail Mary. Oh, and the other is the Blip A. The models have no detail or texture, but they're good enough for me to recognize what they represent. So they did their job. The Hail Mary is only 3 inches long, while the Blip A is closer to 8 inches. Man, that ship is huge. And the tube connecting them? It connects to the Hail Mary's airlock and leads to the center of the Blip A's diamond shaped segment. The tunnel is just wide enough to cover my airlock door. They want to meet. And that's chapter not. That's chapter 8. That's all of chapter 8. How do we feel? How is it so far? How are we doing? I'm gonna go to the bathroom. You guys feel free to talk about your feelings. Let me know how you're feeling about chapter 8, and then we'll try to get through some of chapter 9. I'm back. I'm back. Sorry. Yeah, you probably did recognize parts. Um, I've been sending a lot of my friends scenes from the book that have been edited with scenes from the movie on TikTok. So we're getting to the part of the book where it starts to align more with the film. Hi, I'm back. Yeah, my tummy hurts. Been having some weird abdominal pain. I hope nothing I'm eating is gonna make me sick. Bliss said something about cucumber contamination, but I wasn't really listening because I like cucumbers. Hopefully I don't get sick or anything. It's been weird. All right, chapter 9. We're getting there. We're gonna meet Rocky. We're so close. This is the Rocky chapter. I let the model float in the middle of the room. The Xenonite is nearly indestructible, so I don't need to worry about it bumping into anything. Is this a good idea? I have a planet to save. As awesome as it is to meet up with intelligent aliens, is this risk worth it? The Iridians clearly understand astrophage, at least well enough to make engines out of it, and I think they're trying to tell me they're here for the same reason I am. They might have information I don't know. They might even have the solution I'm looking for. And they seem friendly enough. But this is the interstellar equivalent of a stranger offering me candy. I want the candy information, but I don't know the stranger. Sorry. My friend Chip is texting me about Offkai, and I'm feeling the FOMO so hard. Uh, Mari, in case you don't know, Offkai is basically the VTuber convention of all time, and all my fucking friends are going. Yeah, our man be tempted by the man. Uh, what's my alternative? Ignore them? I could carry on with my mission as if I never saw them at all. They're probably as spooked to see me as I am to see them. I might continue trying to talk, but they wouldn't get hostile, I don't think. Or would they? I have no way of knowing. This is a no-brainer. I've got to at least have a conversation with them. If they have any information about astrophage at all, no matter how minor, I have to talk to them. It's a risk, yes, but this whole mission is a risk. Okay, so what would I do if I were them? I'm an Iridian. I want to build a tunnel that connects to the weird human ship, but I don't know what the human ship material is made of. How can I guarantee any kind of attachment or seal? My Xenonite knowledge is beyond dispute, but how do I connect it to Humanium or whatever their ship is made of? I've sent the human Xenonite model, so he knows what I have, but I still don't know what he has. They'll need a sample of my hull, and they'll need to know it's a sample of my hull. Right, I say to no one. I don't know if this is a good idea or a terrible idea, but I'm gonna knock a chunk of my hull off. I grab a set of EVA tools. They live in the lab drawer 17E. I found them a while ago. They're on a tool belt I can clip onto the EVA suit and everything. Strat and the gang made sure we all had the equipment we would need for the hull repairs if needed. Normally it would be Ilyukna's job to fix stuff, but she's gone. Wow, random memory. Ilyukna was our engineer. Our fix-it gal. Okay, well, now it's me. We get back in the EVA suit and back outside again. Bouncing in and out is getting kind of annoying. I hope this tunnel thing works. Oh, my brother's leaving. I can hear the door. I make my way along the hull, one tether adjustment at a time, and get to thinking. What good is a tunnel exactly? I doubt we have compatible environments. We can't just connect the ships with a tunnel and shake hands. I think there's a lot of ammonia over there. Then there's the temperature. Those cylinders are hot when I get them. Some back of the napkin math tells me the first cylinder they sent should have lost 100 degrees Celsius or more during that 40-minute trip, depending on the temperature it started at. And it was still hot when I got it, so it was really hot when it left their ship, like way higher than the boiling point of water. I try not to speculate too wildly, but come on, I'm a scientist and these are aliens. I'm gonna speculate. Do Iridians live in an environment hotter than the boiling point of water? If so, it proves I'm right. The Goldilocks zone is bullpucky. You don't need liquid water for life. Yes, yes, yes. I should be more focused on first contact with intelligent aliens thing or the save all of humanity thing, but gosh darn it, I could spend a moment to be happy about being right when everyone said I was wrong. I finally reach a spot of hull that seems right for the job. I'm after the entire pressurized portion of the ship, well past the point where it widens out. If I'm right, I'm standing on a big empty tank that used to be full of astrophage. If I reach the hull here, it shouldn't matter. Pull out a hammer and chisel. Not the most elegant way to do this, but I can't think of anything better. Let's start by putting one corner of the chisel on the hull and giving it a little tap. There's a notable dent. It doesn't take much to get through this outermost layer. I use the hammer and chisel to separate a 6-inch circle of hull material. There's a layer of something underneath. I can feel it with the chisel. Probably insulation? To pry the circle out with the chisel. The underlayer holds strong, but then gives way suddenly. The hull sample flies off into space. Shoot! I leap off the ship. I get a hand on the circle right before my tether snaps tight. I breathe for a second, thinking about how dumb I am, then pull myself back along the tether to the ship. Looking at the circle, it seems like there's a light foam substance attached to the underside. Styrofoam, maybe? Probably something more complicated than that. Hope you guys watched all that, I say, because I am not doing that again. Oh, did we lose a chatter? Did we lose a viewer? Did somebody leave? What the fuck? Um, I throw the whole chunk at the blip A. By doing this right in front of them, they'll know for sure I'm sending them a sample of the hull. I hope it's enough for what they want to do. I don't even know if they wanted or needed it. They might be looking at their screens right now saying, what is this idiot doing? Is he poking a hole in his own ship? Why? I stay on the hull and watch as the chunk tumbles in the towelite. The multi-armed robot on the Blip A's hull slides along its rails for the reception. Once positioned, it waits for the whole chunk to arrive and makes a perfect catch. And then, I swear to God, it waves at me. One of its little arms waves at me. I wave back. It waves again. Okay, this could go on all day. I head back toward the airlock. Your move, guys. Their move is taking a long time, and I'm getting bored. Wow. I'm sitting here in a spaceship in the Tau Ceti system, waiting for intelligent aliens I met to continue our conversation, and I'm bored? Human beings have a remarkable ability to accept the abnormal and make it normal. I look through the controls of the radar panel to see what other features it has. After some digging through preference dialogues, I find what I'm looking for. Uh, the proximity waiting parameters. Proximity warning parameters. Oh my fucking god, come on, English. Currently set to 100 kilometers. Fairly reasonable. You'd expect things to be millions of kilometers away, tens of thousands at the very least. So if some rock is within 100 kilometers of you, there's a major problem. I changed the setting to 0.26 kilometers. I worry it'll reject the setting as too low, but it doesn't. Stretch my back and float out of the pilot seat. The Blip A is 271 meters away. If they get closer than 260 meters, or if they send another present that gets within that range, the proximity alert will go off. I don't have to sit here and stare at the screen anymore. The control room will blare a warning when the Blip A does anything interesting. I float down to the dormitory. Food, I say. The arms pull a box out of their little stash in the ceiling and stick it to my bunk. Someday I should look around in there and see what's available. For now, I kick off the ceiling and float down to the food. The box labeled Day 10 Meal 1 has a Velcro like strip on the bottom that helps it stay in place on the bedsheet. I open it up and see a burrito. Not sure what I expected, but okay, burrito it is. Hydrate. Ugh. Turns out it's a room temperature burrito. Beans, cheese, some red sauce, all pretty tasty, really. But the room temperature, either the but the room but room temperature. Either the crew doesn't get hot meals around here or the machine. Hell yeah, burrito. Uh, Either the crew doesn't get hot meals around here or the machine doesn't trust a recent coma patient not to burn themselves on hot food. Probably the latter. I float up to the lab and put the burrito in the sample furnace and leave it there for a few minutes before pulling it out with tongs. The cheese bubbles and a cloud of steam slowly emanates out in all directions. I leave the burrito to float in the air and cool. If I really wanted a hot burrito, I'd turn on the spin drives, do an EVA, and hold the burrito in the light emitted from it. That'd get it hot real quick. As in, it would get vaporized along with my arm and whatever else was in blast range because welcome to Little Russia, said Dmitri. Woo, Dmitri! Woo! Woo, Dmitri! Dmitri's back! Yay! He gave a theatrical wave at the aircraft carrier's lower hangar deck. The whole space had been repurposed into a bunch of labs full of high-tech equipment. Dozens of lab-coated scientists toiled away at their tasks, occasionally speaking Russian to one another. Dmitri's denizens, we called them. We probably put more effort into naming stuff than we should have. I clutched my little sample container like Scrooge with a bag of coins. I'm not happy about this. Oh, hush, said Strat. I've only made 8 grams of astrophage so far, and I'm supposed to just give away 2 grams? 2 grams might not seem like much, but it's 95 billion cells. It is for good cause, my friend, said Dmitri. I promise you will like it. Come, come. He led Strat and me through to the main lab. The center was dominated by a huge cylindrical vacuum chamber. The chamber was open, and 3 technicians mounted something to the table inside. Dmitri said something in Russian to them. They said something back. He said some other thing and pointed to me. They smiled and made happy Russian sounds. Then Strat said something stern in Russian. Sorry, said Dmitri. English only for now, my friends. For the American. Hello, American, said one of the technicians. I am speak of English for you. You have fuel? I have some fuel. Strat looked at me the way I look at stubborn students in my class. Hand it over, Dr. Grace. You know my breeder doubles astrophage population over time, right? Taking away 2 grams now is like taking away 4 grams next month. She folded the container out of my hands and handed it to Dmitri. He held the small metal vial up and admired it. This is good day, I have looked forward to this day. Dr. Grace, please let me show you my spin drive. He gestured for me to follow and bounced up the stairs into the vacuum chamber. The technicians exited one at a time to make room for us. All is attached, said one of them. Checklist is done, ready for test. Good, good, Dmitri said. Dr. Grace, Miss Strat, come, come. He led Strat and me into the vacuum chamber. A thick, shiny metal plate leaned against one wall. The middle of the chamber had a round table with some kind of device resting on it. This is spin drive, Dmitri beamed. It wasn't much to look at, but it was a couple of feet across, mostly circular, but with one side cut flat. Sensors and wires came out from apertures all over the place. Dmitri lifted up the top casing off to reveal the innards. Things got more complicated inside. It was a clear triangle on a rotor. Dmitri gave it a little spin. See? Spin! Spin drive! How's it work? I asked. He pointed to the triangle. This is the revolver. High tensile strength transparent polycarbonate. And this, he pointed to a nook between the revolver and the outer casing, is where fuel comes in. IR emitter inside that part of revolver emits small amount of light with 4.26 and 18.31 microns wavelength. That is wavelength which attract astrophage. Astrophage go to the revolver face, but not too hard. Astrophage thrust is based on strength of IR light. Dim light make weak thrust, but enough to make astrophage stick to surface. He rotated the triangle and aligned an edge with the flat part of the casing. Rotate 120 degrees. This face of revolver with astrophage stuck to it now points out the back of ship. I just want to make sure I got my time right for today. I would really hate to fuck that up. What time do I have to be there? 2. Yeah, okay, we're fine. Um, Uh, their thrust, Petrova frequency light, leaves back of ship. This pushes ship forward. Millions of little astrophages pushing on back of ship make it go, yes? I bent down for a look. I see. This way no part of the ship has to be in the blast area of the light. Yes, yes, said Dmitri. Astrophage force limited only by the brightness of IR light extracting it. I did very much math, decided best is to make astrophage exhaust all energy in 4 seconds. Any faster and force will break, revolver. Hmm. I rotated the revolver another 120 degrees and pointed the remaining third of the casing. This is cleaning area. Squeegee wipes dead astrophage off revolver. He pointed to the cleaning area, then the fueling area, and then the open face. All three areas active at once, at the same time. So while this area cleans off dead astrophage off this face, fueling area adds astrophage to that face, and other face is pointed out back of ship, providing thrust. This pipelining means that part of triangle pointed out back of ship is always thrusting. Dmitri opened my vial of astrophage and set it in the fueling chamber. I guess since the astrophage will find their way to the triangle face, no special handling was required. He could just let the fuel see the IR. Come, come, he said. Experiment time. We left the vacuum chamber and Dmitri sealed it off. He yelled something in Russian and all the other Russians started repeating it. Everyone made their way to the far side of the hangar deck, including us. They'd set up a. Thank you, I'm having fun. I love Dmitri. They'd set up a folding table. It had a laptop on it with Cyrillic writing on the screen. Miss Tourette, how far is Carrier from closest land? Dmitri asked. About 300 kilometers, she said. This good! Wait, why? I said. Why is that good? Dmitri pursed his lips. Is good. Time for science. He pushed a button. There was a muffled whump from the far side of the bay, followed by a hum, then nothing. Experiment done! He leaned forward to read the screen. 60,000 newtons of force. He turned to the other Russians. 60,000 newtons! They all cheered. Jet turned to me. That's a lot, right? I was too busy staring jawed at Dmitri to answer. Did you say 60,000 newtons? Pumped his fist in the air. Yes! 60,000 newtons! Maintained for 100 microseconds. Oh my god, from that little thing? I started to walk forward. I had to see this for myself. Dmitri grabbed my arm. No, no, you stay here, friend. We all stay here. 1.8 billion joules of light energy was released. This is why we need vacuum chamber and 1000 kilograms of silicon. No air to ionize. Light goes directly into silicon block. Energy is absorbed by melting the metal, see? He turned the laptop toward me. Camera feed from inside the vacuum chamber showed the glowing blob that was once a thick plate of metal. Whoa, I said. Yes, yes, Dmitri said. That Mr. Einstein with his E equals mc squared, very powerful stuff. We let cooling system work on it for a few hours. Uses seawater, we'll be fine. I shook my head in awe. In just 100 microseconds, that's 1/10,000th of a second, Dimitri's spin drive melted a metric ton of metal. All that energy had been stored up in my little astrophages, slowly harvesting from the carrier's nuclear reactor heat over time by my breeder. I mean, the math all checked out. To see it actually demonstrated like that was another thing entirely. Wait, how much astrophage did you use there? Dmitri smiled. Can only estimate based on thrust generated, but was close to 20 micrograms. I gave you 2 entire grams. Can I have the rest back? Don't be greedy, Strat said. Dmitri needs it for further experimentation. She turned to him. Good work. How big will the real drive be? Dmitri pointed to the video feed. That big is real drive. No, I mean the one on the ship. That, he said, pointing again. You want redundancy, safety, reliability, yes? So we don't just make one big engine, we make 1,000 little ones. 1,009, actually. Enough for all thrust needed and much to spare. Some malfunction during trip, not a problem. More thrust from others to compensate. Ah, Tret nodded. Tons of little spin drives. I like it. Keep up the good work. She headed to the stairwell. I stared at Dimitri. If you'd set off all 2 grams of that sample at once. Whoosh! We are vapor, all of us. Carrier too. Explosion would make small tsunami, but 300 kilometers away from land, so he's okay. He slapped me on the back. And I would owe you a drink in afterlife, yes? Huh. Yes. And it's 12:30, so we're not finished the chapter. Hold on, how long is this chapter? Oh, I guess we're gonna have to call it a day. How you guys doing? Thank you, Vaughn. Thank you. I know. It's 12:30. I'm sorry. I know. I have to get my dog out and then I have to head to work. Well, I'm glad. I love Dimitri. We met him in yesterday's stream. The VOD's up. Uh, but he's just my favorite member of the science team. I unfortunately think this is the last Dimitri heavy chapter, which kind of sucks. I love him, but yeah, we got to meet a couple of really fun characters today. We got to meet Dr. Loken. I love her. She's awesome. We got to see lots more Dimitri, who is my favorite member of the VAT team always. I know. I know. He's not even in the movie. Dimitri's just not in the movie. I was so mad about it because, like, he's my favorite. He's just not in the movie. I was so upset. I watched the whole thing hoping to see even a glimpse of Dimitri. I got nothing. I know. I know. Oh, he's by far my favorite. But hey, we're getting closer to Rocky. We're gonna meet him properly, probably soon. I have a morning shift tomorrow, so we could probably stream tomorrow afternoon. Oh, that's a large bird. Yeah, they did. I've never been more upset about any book to movie change than I was about the staggering lack of Dimitri in the movie. I can smell the ammonia. He's coming, guys. He's coming. You're gonna get him soon. Well, I love Dimitri. I really, really do. We're gonna get Rocky. We're gonna get Rocky soon. I'm so excited. I love him. In my audiobook listen number 2, I'm already at the part of the audiobook where Rocky is there, so I've already started the communication phase of that. Um, having a blast, by the way. I love them. So hopefully tomorrow's reading. I know, right? God. You know what? It's okay. 'Cause I do like Carl, the character that they made specifically for the movie. I do think he's pretty fun. But he's not my boy Dimitri. I miss him. I love his silly little Russian accent. The audiobook gives him this big booming voice that I just love replicating. Like it's so fun. It gives him this like big booming voice. It gives him like he's just so silly. He's such a fun guy. He's definitely my favorite member of the Earth Science team, aside from possibly the other astronauts. I like Yukina. She's pretty funny. But yeah, I guess that's it. Mm-hmm. Well, thank you for being here. Thank you for continuing with me. Like I said, we'll try to do some more tomorrow evening. I'd like to. Um, try to, um, yeah, stalling. Yeah, no, I like voicing Dimitri too. I love doing the Russian accent. It's a lot of fun. And I love anytime Ryland gets really excited about something. It's fun. I like to I like yelling, but I also just like Rye when he's happy. He's so cute when he's happy. It's a little bit more about my man for you. All right, I gotta go. Bye, bye, yay, yay, ah, 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 ah.